Peace and respect to you all. Welcome to Demolished Doctrine. A little impromptu, just talking and taking Sammy's suggestion. Have something to read, have something to talk about already prepared before you start. So this is a very peculiar and private. I'm doing all this work myself. Idea for idea translation of the Bible, and I'm just going to read some of it to you. In the beginning of what concerns you, like from where you're from and where you're at and where you sit right now reading this story, powerful angels reformed the sky and the planet. The planet was without geographic area distinctions and void of life. Void of life. Where was I? Peace and some respect, brother. And no atmosphere to refract light, so darkness was upon the face of the deep. Just like the shots of the moon landing, if there's no atmosphere, there's no refraction of light, and it's just like being at nighttime, you just see outer space everywhere. And powerful angels said, let there be refraction of light. And there was light on the earth due to the atmosphere. That is, they put atmosphere on the earth. By the way, that agrees with geology. That was the first thing here. Angels saw the light as good, and angels divided the light from the darkness by terms. And angels called the light day, and the darkness angels called night. And the evening ended one time, and the morning beginning the next time were the first chronicled. Because it doesn't really say days, actually. It doesn't indicate any kind of time frame. It says time passed. And Jews wouldn't call from nighttime until morning day anyway. They called that night. And if anything, in the King James, it should read and the evening and the morning were the first night, is how it should read if you're going to translate it that way. And angels said, let the firmament be in the midst of a large group of beings we're going to call waters, and let it divide the large group of being into two parts, and let it divide the waters from the waters. That is, there's beings in heaven, and there's beings on the earth, starting right here, right now, right there. Or at least that's what it's going to be for. I should say it's what it's going to be for. And angels reformed this planet Earth, and divided the waters which would be under the firmament of heaven from the waters which throughout the firmament of heaven, and that was done. Okay. And angels called the firmament above heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second chronicled. So here we have in 1:7 the differentiation that were made lower than angels. That's what this is right here. Made a little lower than angels, and there's intent in doing so. And the evening and the morning were the second chronicled. And angels said, pause me anytime. And angels said, let the large group of beings that will be under the sky be forced to gather into certain places. And let that which will be dry appear. And it was done. That is, put oceans on the place. Water, second thing, geology, check it out. And angels called the dry parts earth, and the gathering together of water they called sea, which is not the same word as waters. This and this, not the same word. In fact, this specifically means salt sea, like, salty oceans. And angels saw that as good. And angels said, let the earth bring forth grasses and herbs yielding seed, and the fruit trees unmodified. I'll explain why it says unmodified right there later. Whose seed in itself upon the earth, and it was done. And this earth brought forth grasses and herb yielding. Okay, plants. Yep, plants. We know plants came before animals. Yep, good to go so far. And the evening and the morning were the third chronicled. That's the third time frame. An angel said, let there be constellations as symbols in the firmament of the sky to divide the enlightened from the not enlightened, as in to tell stories. And why do I say constellations? Because it's not stars. It's clumps of stars. And they never translated clumps of stars. They just wrote stars in the King James. And let them be for what? for signs, like signs of religion, like the stories in the sky, stories in the constellations, and for seasons, that is a calendar, and for days and years, days meaning long periods of time, not meaning a singular 24-hour period, but days as in like more like eons of time, and years. Yeah, well, that makes sense. That's what we actually use the constellations for. Star locations, we use that for real. And let them be for enlightenment in the heavens, to give knowledge upon this earth. And it was done. So they to the people still in heaven, not yet on the earth, but who are going to be on the earth, the angels are pointing all this stuff out to them and talking to them about the different constellations. The most ancient religion on the planet, astrology. The greater of them to rule the day, and the lesser of them to rule the night, and constellations also. And angels established the constellations in the heavens to give enlightenment upon the earth. I know that's repetitive. And to rule over the light of mind, to govern what is darkness of mind. And angels saw that as good. They saw it good to teach religion. And the evening and morning were the fourth chronicled. And angels said, let the seas bring forth life abundantly. Okay, so now we're going to put sea life. And we do know that was next. And fowl that fly above the earth. And yeah, that actually makes sense. This earth in the face before the firmament of the heavens. I mean, meaning literal sky. And angels had repurposed great whales, and every living creature that moves, and which water springs brought forth abundantly. Yep, all kinds of buggies. And of each modification, and every winged fowl of each modification, and angels saw that as good. That is, they took from the natural evolutionary process of their home planet, and they transferred it here. And yeah, that's what the fossil record definitely indicates, that stuff came in this order. And angels blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the fowl multiply in this earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth chronicled. And angels said, let this earth bring forth the living creatures unmodified, herd animals and creeping things, and wild animals unmodified, and it was done. Okay, so all of it's complete, every kind of critter. There you
I
go.
have a question.
Go ahead.
So what does it mean when it says unmodified? Are we going to get to
because evolution happens after that.
Okay.
Peace and respect, Brother William. Strength and honor.
Thank you, sir, and same to you.
Peace and respect in the side chat. Mac the Human. Mac, are we doing a show tomorrow? Totally up to you guys.
Mac, come in.
Math Pig. Math Pig, what are you doing here? Get out of here. Oh my gosh. Hot woman that you're crazy about, you're in my side chat. Get the hell out of here. What are you doing? It's crazy. And angels repurposed beasts from a wilderness planet, unmodified, and everything that crept upon the wilderness planet unmodified, and angels saw that as good. And angels said, let us birth mankind in our... And see, because here comes the modification. After our likeness, and let them have higher consciousness than the fish in the sea. In other words, don't degrade the angels too much. Don't make them friggin' retarded and not in charge of the planet. And over the herd animal, creeping thing. So angels birthed mankind in their own image. In the image of angels birthed they them. Birthed is the correct word here. Not created ex nihilo. It's not the right idea. For anybody who doesn't know, that means create out of nothing. And angels blessed man. Oh, by the way, this is repeated like 4 times in the Bible. And angels blessed mankind and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply. We're all about bumping uglies, doing a good job so far, and fulfill the purpose of the wilderness and subdue it. This wilderness, this right here, this is talking about this planet. It's a wilderness to the angels. It's unrefined. It's dirty. It's got no technology. It's a wilderness. And have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. And angels said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the earth, and every tree in which the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it will be for meat. and every beast of this earth, that's right, and every beast of this earth for meat, and every fowl of the air, and every living thing that creeps upon the earth, wherein life, and every good green herb for meat. You see, they put in a comma here that made it vegetarianism. And that was done. And archangel saw everything that angels had created, and beheld it as very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth chronicled. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and the host of the finished. Finished meaning finished in purpose, as in complete. At the end of the sixth day. You see that? On the seventh day, angels ended their work which they had created. The earth gets ended. That's the creation. The earth gets ended at the beginning of the seventh day. And what is demanded by Jehovah rested on the seventh day from all the work which was made. And angels blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. That is, sanctified as in made it special, set aside, blessed, all those nice things, right? Blessed and sanctified it. Because in it they had rested from all the work that angels reformed and repurposed. That is, the planet had done its job, and we, the creation, which is the point, us, we are also finished. So the seventh day can't be on the planet, and I can make a syllogism of that if you like, out of other parts of the Bible. Who we got? Somebody else popped in. Trusty Ape, thanks for turning on your camera. Appreciate you. You can turn it back off if you like.
When you say that we're finished, like mankind is finished, does that necessarily mean that we are kaput, done, dead?
Dead? No, not dead necessarily. I mean, some people are dead right now, but
right.
Of course, we're not. You and I think I'm alive. It seems to me.
Yeah. But we're not done yet, right? Because the seventh day hasn't come yet.
Right. Obviously, we're not done because we're to be improved. That is the words perfected, vivified, quickened. When we ascend into heaven, then we'll be complete. We're obviously not complete right now. We're a work in progress.
Any idea of when the seventh day will fall?
Yes. When the seven signs come, which are the foreannouncing miracles and the major time frames that are expressed in the text, they come in this order. A quaking of the earth that spits hail and fire mingled with blood. That is, it will kill some people. After that comes, I want to get this in the right order. After that comes the Blood Sea miracle, where a meteorite burns in with a red flame. It poisons a good portion of ocean with 200 square, and it says 200 square mile.
Is that wormwood?
In the text. No, that's Blood Sea miracle. And then you have the face of God, which is the ignition of Jupiter. No one has seen the face of God, which is a sign of their coming, where we're in a binary solar system. Which is why burning bush, brightness of the face of God at the beginning of the book of Revelation, like the sun in its strength, and all those terms, all those phrases. And then a chunk of the moon Io burns back in, and that's almost pure sulfur and friggin' huge. A mountain of sulfur falls from the sky, which you remember all the... It showed up in... It showed up in the movie with the ogre and the donkey. What was the name of that?
Shrek.
Yeah, Shrek. You know, the whole idea of fire and brimstone, and the dragon appears at the same time with the fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, the Bible says the same thing in my view.
I have a question.
A big old chunk, hold on, I'm not done with this one. A chunk of sulfur burns in, a mountain-sized chunk, that falls into a freshwater source, and that makes wormwood. Then you've got the smiting of the thirds, where the Earth's at a 60-degree angle to two light sources and changes how many of the stars we can see. The shadow on the moon is affected, and also dawn and dusk are affected. That's in the text as well. Then, let's see, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have this. Then you have the glory of God, where there's no more day. There's no more darkness, no more night. Where we're at 180 degrees to two light sources, and there's like seriously no night around the whole planet at that point. So that's called the glory of God. Then you have the arrival of God, which is also the arrival of heaven, because God's in heaven. That is the spaceships actually surrounding the Earth during those 40 days. And yes, it would be very, very close on to almost exactly 40 days. Because Jupiter's on a 12-year orbit, we're on a 1-year orbit, or 12 times as fast, which means we're lined up between the Sun and Jupiter for about 40 days per year. So that's the glory of God, the arrival of God during those 40. Sometime during that 40 days period, you meet angels, you have Judgment Day, you have the first ascension, and those are all the 7 signs. And that's how you'll know.
Thank you.
Quite welcome. What were you saying, Odin?
I was gonna ask, when you say Jupiter being ignited,
Yeah.
do you mean ignited in the sense that it'll become a brown dwarf
It's
star?
it's an unrealized star right now called a brown dwarf. That's what it is right now.
Okay.
So
I was
if it
thinking
were,
about you, Richard.
I think about you too all the time, especially when I'm alone and no one's watching.
That's not what I meant, but thank you. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, let me wrap up what Jupiter is. Okay, so first of all, if you've ever seen like a picture of Jupiter, Odin, where you can see the great red eye in his belly button.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That tornado, that cyclone is 2 Earths wide.
Yes,
Okay?
I read that. Yeah.
2 Earths wide. A cyclone. The cyclone is small in the face of Jupiter. And there's one that it's actually reforming. They're calling it Little Red. If you want to look it up, just type in Jupiter Little Red. And there is a small red eye forming in its forehead. That is the story of the Cyclops, or the stone in the forehead of Goliath. Same thing. Where in the northern hemisphere, like right about there, actually, in elevation, it's forming a new eye, which is where all the Cyclops stories come from, and why Goliath gets a stone embedded in his forehead. So
But
Jupiter is 73%, not by volume, but by mass, liquid metallic hydrogen. Okay? So it's a lot of hydrogen. Like, it's probably something around maybe 600 to 1,500 Earths of just hydrogen.
yeah, that's insane.
So it's a short-term star potentially. And if it
So-
were ignited, it would be brighter than any other star in the sky. And if it happens in Bethlehem or Virgo, and then it continues on its normal path, it didn't change weight, I don't know why it wouldn't, then you would have the star in the east over Bethlehem, and you would have the birth of the Christ.
But wouldn't something, because the only thing that's stopping it from, I guess, really igniting is the amount of mass. So wouldn't something pretty massive had to be pulled into Jupiter for it to basically eventually just ignite?
That is one way. Right now, Jupiter would have to be, by scientific estimations, these are not my numbers, it would have to be 81 times its present mass, or it would have to have 13 Earth-sized planets impact it simultaneously all around from different equal directions at about 200,000 kilometers per minute at that speed and impact, okay, in order to ignite it. But what the story tells is that Io and Europa are collided together, making great balls of fire, actually. Not that I think that song was about Jupiter's ignition, but making great balls of fire, all getting sucked into the upper atmosphere of Jupiter simultaneously, which is, well, first of all, there's a lot of hydrogen in the, like, that's not
That's
flammable
exactly
enough.
what the song's about.
Yeah.
Yeah, precisely. Like the hydrogen isn't bad enough in the atmosphere of Jupiter. It also contains a good deal of ammonia and 21% methane. Like, it's a firebomb waiting to go off.
Waiting to
It
go-
really
yeah.
is. So here's the theory that I think is implicit, not explicit, but implicit in the story. If you caught all of atmosphere of Jupiter, you ignited that. Let's see if I can do this. If you ignited that simultaneously all the way around it, and it's a pretty good thick layer, what you'd get is a pressure wave onto the liquid metallic hydrogen. Now here's how hydraulics work. If you could imagine a water balloon in outer space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could take like 4 different people or 3 different people and you slap it all at exactly the same moment. The amount of pressure that you created on the outside is going to carry all the way to the very center, to the very smallest, down to 1 atom. 1 atom is eventually going to get all that pressure, okay? Because the hydraulics work such that it can't be compressed because it's hydraulics, and liquid metallic hydrogen would be hydraulic in nature, right? So all the pressure on the outside, as it travels in, and it's actually a wave, but I'm going to describe it in layers. When you get to half the surface area, you now have twice the pressure per atom. When you get to a quarter, you now have 8 times the outside pressure per atom, and on and on and on and on until you get to the very core of it. Dude, that would be so much damn pressure. I am fairly confident that it wouldn't have any trouble causing fusion.
Interesting. So you don't necessarily think that there is fusion happening right now in the core of Jupiter?
It would be realized as a star, and no man has seen the face of God.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, continue. I'm sorry, I had to.
No, it's fine.
Well, I don't want him to continue just yet because this has been burning in my brain for a day now.
Okay.
I got a question about the parables of Jesus, and because I was going over some things, and some of your ideas, again, looking through my Richard filter,
Yeah.
and Jesus parables, there's a lot of entrusting responsibilities to servants and then leaving and then coming back at a later time.
Yep.
Not an omnipresent kind of always there with you, but dropping off some stuff. So here's some instructions. Here's what I'm expecting, and I'll be back later.
Yep.
I guess I just never thought about that with a Starfleet kind of, like a fleet of ships showing up with this Uber like this
yeah.
Superman.
I don't know about the Superman part. I mean, but imagine the premium human being.
Well, that's what I was trying to get to. Like, what is the Father as far as in relation to us?
Okay, so here's what I can figure out from the text. It looks like in perfection of every Christ that ascends, he is complemented with the original genetic material, Adam. So he is not only a copy of the Father, he's a copy of Adam, the broadest genome of any human ever, the original, okay? And then that genetic material, when he terraforms a planet, is split into the 3 haplogroups and into all of the what we would call ethnic groups. And those are born literally in heaven, raised to adulthood, maturity, say something about probably 18 to 22 years old. And those ethnic groups of about 10,000 people, which is why we see genetic bottlenecks, those are literally physically put onto the planet, and they're told to subdue the land, just like we just read. They're told to subdue the area and multiple. What's that?
What is the reason for the haplogroups?
You can't get ethnic groups without going to haplogroups first.
I get it, but why? What is the intent? Why split the genome?
It's a countdown timer. It's a freaking, the whole thing's brilliant. It blows my mind. Okay, so if you take small groups of people, and the first generation is sworn to secrecy, they'd never talk about heaven. It leaves. They got 9 months, start having babies. Heaven's completely gone. No sign of heaven anymore. and begin divine hiddenness. Okay? And they start having babies, and they just don't tell their babies where they came from.
But why?
They make so that we can have suffering.
So the first generation that comes down that were raised in heaven they're sworn to secrecy. They know, but they're not telling anyone.
They do not pass it on to the next generation. Yeah.
So the original sin of ignorance, right?
There you go. The ignorance. That's where we start out.
Yeah. So then that's to. Why does the Christ have to have that starting point with no information abounding about his
let me
past?
answer you. I never wrapped up the last one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I just wasn't. I mean, I'm fine, but okay. So these people, they have no technology, but they have really good health, but it's reduced from the angelic. They don't have perfect health. They're going to die of old age. Okay? They start working together, building communities, and everybody on the planet starts doing that. Which is why there's this leap in brain mass and a leap in technology that doesn't make a damn bit of sense. And why we were able to just go and overtake everyone everywhere is because we were so much damn smarter. So these were the first pathfinders, you could put it that way. After the troglodytes had beaten down the forest and beat up a few bears, we move in and we just beat them up because they're not even challenging. But it's a countdown timer in that the different tribes are spread so far apart, and they're so genetically diverse at that point, or separated from each other, different from each other at that point, that as they grow and start intermingling, this starts a countdown timer. And when they get a certain genetic combination, that's going to be the son predestined. And the Father is going to count. I get chills, man. The Father's going to What's that? That has to happen before end times. It's the first sign of end times. What's that?
I thought Jesus was that.
Yeah, Jesus is that.
But the Jesus that you're waiting for hasn't come yet?
Yeah.
For this planet?
I'm not very. I don't value Christian doctrine very highly, but I do really value the text, and both the text of the Bible, Old Testament and New, the Torah and Quran all agree, and in fact the Bible demands in the New Testament, in the book of Revelation, that it's prophecy. It's talking about what we're going to see in end times, and that's really the whole topic. I mean, other than what we just read, the first 6 days of creation, it's just talking about the transition and really nothing else.
It sounds exciting, Richard. I'm not going to lie.
I'm very excited. I mean, I live for this stuff. I'm so excited. I can't wait for us to get away from pain and suffering and disease and aging and become intergalactic travelers. That sounds freaking awesome.
The only thing that's the weird barrier is the spaceships. That's
Why?
I'm being honest. I don't know. It's this barrier that I have in my mind from the traditions that I've been raised on. Is that the heaven are these craft? You know what I mean?
Okay. Let me show you some of the text here. I just want to show you. You guys talk. I'm going to be researching something for a minute.
Just understand that it's not necessarily because of the text. It's my tradition. It's the way that I've always looked at it. So it's harder for me to put it. I'm going to show you that you cannot look at it that way, and I'm going to use the Bible to do it. I cannot look at it the way that I had it before.
Yeah, you cannot maintain that according to the text.
Okay. Show me.
Let's see. What do I need?
I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me because I've been pondering this stuff.
You guys are my brothers and sisters. If I denied you, I'm the ass.
I think you're the ass either way, but that's why I like
you. Thanks, I guess.
Hey, God made it an ass talk before. So New Jerusalem also is a craft.
Yes.
Because it comes down out of the heavens.
Okay, I just want to. to read you this. Let me see, where's a good place to start here? Okay, that's topic change right there. To him that overcomes, I will make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God. Okay, that's a big privilege. And the name of the city of my God, New Jerusalem. So he will share the name of New Jerusalem, right? And what is that? Where does that New Jerusalem come down? It comes down out of the heaven. That's lowercase heaven on purpose. And let me look that up for you. I want to show you that.
Why is there a why is that diminutive to be just lowercase? I didn't know there was a difference between a capitalized heaven and a.
Yeah, I'm thinking this means the coming from the sky rather than like an exit, like a supernatural heaven.
Okay, so this means like a mountain, as in lifting itself above the plane or the surface. So it's a mountain-sized object or a mountain-like object above the surface. It's not on the surface, it's above the surface specifically. All right? And that's
heaven.
That's
heaven?
Yeah, and that's the etymology of it, right? And what does it mean? It means the idea of elevation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's risen up, okay? Not that it has to rise up, depending on where it came from, but it's risen up above the plane. And it can refer to the sky, but by extension, the abode of God. And what does it represent? Happiness, power, eternity, blah, blah, blah. You get it? It's all the promises of heaven. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. So it depends on context whether it's the habitation of God or the sky. You see that, right?
Yes.
But it came down. Now we all know the sky doesn't do that. Right? So what it's literally saying here is that a large object over your head floating in the air coming down from God's place. Arguments? Questions?
So it's saying that heaven is coming down?
Yes.
I thought the city of New Jerusalem was coming down.
Yes, the our heaven comes down, which will be named after the Christ. Christ and it will share a name, which will be the new name of God, and it comes down from God's heaven.
Okay, because 3:12 is the one that you read earlier about being the pillar in the temple.
Right.
And then it says, okay, which is the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write. Okay, so I'm reading that from that elevated place, New Jerusalem is coming down.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so where is heaven coming down? That's I guess what I'm looking for.
That's going to be in a different verse. I'm just trying to show you the physicality of our heaven.
All right, I'm just trying to keep up, man.
So we're transported via the New Jerusalem into heaven. It's kind of the medium.
You could look at it that way. It's not horrible. That would get you there.
Batman says he needs a mic check, or I'm not sure if I'm.
Well, he's going to have to speak to get one of those.
Hello? Can you?
Hello.
You guys can hear me,
You're
right?
a little bit distant. That's much better now that you got to the second position from when you said hello.
Okay. Yeah, my headset literally just snapped.
Oh.
So
did your head expand? What the hell?
I was actually just adjusting the strap on it because it was like a little bit tight, and it just like pop, just snapped. So
I had that happen with my last
Richard's
headphones.
stuffing all
They
that
were
info
cheap.
in their brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. These ones are not cheap, but they're old probably. So.
Okay,
continue.
so I'm
sorry.
I'm at. Okay, we're now like 18 chapters ahead of that. It says it again. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So brand new and pretty, right? Tell me something. How do you adorn the outside of an ethereal place?
Well, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't, or you couldn't?
I don't think that you can hang anything in the ether unless that substance is also ethereal.
And does the ether age?
I don't think so.
Okay, so how could you have
How do we test that?
Yeah, you couldn't. It doesn't even make sense as soon as you talk about it. It doesn't make sense. So how could you have a new adorned heaven if it's ethereal?
I don't know, but it says prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Adorned is decorated.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be a reference at all to the rituals of marriage or whatever?
Oh, there's definitely that language throughout the Bible.
Okay, so the city's
it's like
coming
down.
It's
like a big.
I think
like a big.
You're
wedding
alluding
feast.
to there's going to be like bright, shiny objects. It's going to be attractive, right?
Yeah, that's what it's saying.
Yeah, flashy, desirable, sparkly,
maybe even sexy.
Ooh, like a Corvette.
This isn't going to be like the movie Species, is it? Because that's a little.
No, that's scary.
Okay, but the prior to the change, she's hot. But anyway, worst ways to go. I'm saying. Actually, no, it's pretty savage.
Okay, so Christians take a lot of this stuff figuratively. This is 21. Let's see, where does it start? Here we go. Okay, 21:10. Going to say the same thing again. So you're sure that this is the same topic, right? You've got again the word Jerusalem, and it's descending out of the heaven of God, right? So same topic, same thing. We haven't changed anything. They left out the word new, but I think we should have picked up on it by now. Having the glory of God, and her light like unto the stone most precious, even a jasper stone, clear as crystal. So magenta red or printer red in color, but you can see through it, right? And had a wall great and high, and 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Unless you have like all kinds of spiritual stuff that looks physical in the spiritual realm, I don't know how anyone justifies. Everything here is physical. I mean, just
all right. Can I get you to stop right here?
Sure.
All right. So the names of the sons are these representative of the haplogroups?
No, the 12 birth signs, or zodiac, or tribes of Israel, or 12 years of the Japanese zodiac. You know, all those.
All right. So are we each kind of assigned to our own designation, which gate we would pass through? Is there any? All right.
Yes, but it's only for measurement. It's only for judgment.
Excuse me. Oh, I thought there were different size, gates for the short people and the tall people. All right.
So do you think? Wait, does the zodiac indicate like personality types? Is that kind of, or is it just?
It might. I really don't. I can't speak intelligently to that. I don't really know. But the Hebrew tradition and the astrology tradition both hold that idea.
Right.
I hope it's like Gryffindor, like in Harry Potter. You could join your team. You're with Gryffindor. Okay, that was nerdy.
I think mechanically, you don't want any of the angels at the gates to have to measure more people than some other angel at some other gate. And an easy way to do it, because the earth rotates and there's always winter and there's always summer and there's always a breeding season where, it's always spring and people are, bumping uglies and making babies. So you get a full rotation in 12 gates of the earth, and because people are all over the earth, it's a great way to divide people evenly is by their birth sign or birth year,
So how large is this city or craft or whatever?
We're about to get into that.
Oh yeah.
And he talked with me, and he had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lieth foursquare, meaning having three dimensions, four cardinal directions. And here you go, right here. You want to know how big it is? 12,000 furlongs. You want to know how big that is?
Yeah, I do.
1,500 miles across. 1,500 miles across. That's about halfway across the United States.
That's tremendous.
This is the small part of heaven.
That's what she said.
Yeah,
that was one of my
tremendous.
biggest hangups. Like reading Gibbon, was I kept having to go translate a furlong, and I'm bad at math to begin with. So I was like, "How many miles is that?" Oh yeah, okay.
It's
a
0.8.
cubit. No, cubits. That was the one. Cubits
19
translated
inches.
into furlongs, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let me get back into the measurements.
I can't conceptualize a craft that big.
You can't. In fact, I looked it up. The biggest imaginary spaceship from any movie was about 1/10 this size. I went and looked at all the movie spaceships and their sizes. The only one that was bigger than this wasn't really. It was a manufactured planet, and that's the only movie object bigger than this. Oh, and these aren't. That's not the big one. That's the small one. The other parts of heaven are bigger than this.
But these are all referred to as dwellings, like as like in my father's house there are many mansions.
Yes.
And, you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
So it's weird because you're saying it's a craft. You know, like it's a mobile home.
It's a mobile home, yeah.
Strike one up for the trailer, folk.
Right on. Okay, so I'm going to pause that for a second. Come back here.
Trailer Park Jesus.
Well, apparently we're all trailer trash. Apparently. Okay, so just for ugly, easy math, because it's hard to figure a sphere unless you're a mathematician. And somebody wants to do that, I'd love to have the actual numbers on this. That would be great. But I did it as a cube because it's just damned easier. And the reason I said sphere is because it says that you can start at a measuring point and measures the same in every direction, which means it can't have flats or points, which means it's a sphere. Okay. But if I did it as a cube, that cube would be on every surface, every singular plane, 1,500 by 1,500 miles. Okay? Now, what that means in real terms is if I made floors in heaven a whole mile apart, you'd have roughly 1,500 floors, right? Okay, so if you take 1,500 sheets that are 1,500 miles by 1,500 miles, and you lay them on the Earth surface, including all of the oceans, those are going to cover the Earth 75 times. Got that? So it's 75 total Earth surfaces in our heaven if the floors are a mile apart. If they're 1/10 of a mile apart, it's 750 Earth surfaces. I know you can't make sense of that. I can't either. But flippin' huge. Huge interior space in this structure.
That's good, because I was really concerned that it would be tight quarters like on a submarine or something.
Yeah, I get claustrophobic. And that's not nice. Well, they say that they store everything that's here in greater amounts in heaven. And when heaven shows up, they take samples of animals, 14 of every clean, 4 of every unclean, and every kind of buggy boo and fish and everything else.
So this was kind of fascinating me earlier when you're describing the New Jerusalem, this piece of heaven. It sounds to me like a description of the Ark, but in like aeronautical terms. And I was writing a science fiction story a few years ago that was kind of similar to that. It's an Ark that's similar to the Noah story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually just preserving the various types of life.
Hey, Richard, I'm at work, but I'll be right back, man.
Yes, sir. Well, I want to show you, Kev, just how right you are. Because Noah's Ark is another account of heaven, which is why you have the waters below and it's over top of the water. It never says floating on the waters, by the way. It says over top the waters. It doesn't say touching the waters. And actually, I see that Noah's Ark is a conversion factor for the hard measurement we just got of 1,500 miles. Which is why it has 3 levels, because there's 3 levels of heaven. That's why there's a door to each level instead of ladders inside. If you were making a boat, a singular craft, you'd just put ladders inside. You wouldn't make 3 entry and ramps and stuff. You wouldn't make 3 entry doors. But it literally says in the description of Noah's Ark that it has 3 levels and 3 entry doors, or windows, depending on which translation you read. Let's see. Let me go back and find the measurements. I went too far. Forever righteous in the generate. Oh, here it is. 7, blah, 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 blah. Measurements. I want the measurements. Where's the dang measurements? Sorry, guys. Anybody know where the measurements to the ark is? Thou shalt build an ark and cubits and cubits. I should look up the word cubit. That's what I should do.
I was just there too. Let me see.
William, can you flash on your camera just so I know someone's not imitating you because you just left and came back? Thank you, boss. You can turn it back off.
Oh, give me an actual.
Here it is. Found it. Okay, and remember this is a translation, which means the right ideas are in the right orders, but you can't nail it down to window means specifically, has blinds and it's basically square and all those ideas. Okay, so here's the measurements right here. And this which thou shalt make it, the length of the ark 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. Now, if those are conversion factors, and our heaven is not God's habitation, and if you'll grant me that our habitation is less important in some way than the habitation of God itself, then 30 is the smallest number here. The next numbers are 50 and 300 cubits. Okay? So if I plug in 1,500 miles, and that equals 30, then 50 equals 2,300 miles, or a little bit wider than the United States. Yeah. And 300 cubits is, let's see, 330, 1,500 miles, 15,000 miles across. Now the Earth is 8,700 miles across. So it's a little bigger than our planet.
I found a reference from Answers in Genesis. It's older, but according to AIG, they're saying that 300 cubits is like a little over 500 feet long. But that wouldn't make sense, right? That would be...
If you took it as literal cubits, yeah.
Right.
But I can test...
Wait, what's the conversion? What's the difference in the conversion there?
They already gave us a hard measurement for what 30 cubits means, if I'm reading this. So the cubits is pretty damned irrelevant.
Okay.
I mean, I could divide by cubits, which is 19.5 inches, and come up with. But I would just have to convert it back to the idea of miles anyway. So I don't see any point in that exercise.
That also doesn't make a whole lot of sense structurally, right? If it's 300 cubits long but only 30 cubits high, that would mean it's like a shoe, basically, right? Like a A big.
That would be a shoe shape, yeah. Yeah, it's like a, what is that? A Swedish wooden clog, something. It would look something
Yeah.
like that. Which they pretty it up in their abstractions of wooden boats, like the Ark Adventure. They pretty it up, but it wouldn't be that pretty actually. All right, good, makes sense. It's at least
I'm good with
plausible.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's really all I'm trying to go for is logical consistency and plausibility in reality. That's all I'm really trying to go for here. Everything else we'll just have to wait and see. And a window thou shalt make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above, and the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof. Lower, second, and third shalt thou make it. So it says there's three different levels, right? And then it gives three different measurements up here in the above it, right? And I see no reason to separate 3 and 3, and I don't think I should think that's coincidental. And why? Because I bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life, from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. That is to say, this is obviously a prophecy, right? In the context of where it's written, it's a prophecy. It hasn't happened yet, right? But if I take the word waters consistently to mean a large group of people, tell me how we are not doing this.
And so when you use the word waters, is that kind of interchangeable to, like we were talking about earlier, like fluidity of being, like a more of a fluid motion than an actual fluid thing, like being?
Well, we are a
Nations,
bit
peoples, and
flexible,
tongues.
but let me show you this, Kev. What William just referred to. Did I go to the wrong place? Angels' last plagues. I'll just try it the other way.
Okay, that I didn't see coming.
Well, I have keywords in my mind because I can't remember numbers.
No, I get it. I totally followed what you were doing. It's just that I didn't when you said I'm going to go another way and you just typed in whore. I was like, all right, yeah, that's a different way.
That's a different way. I'm going to go the way with whores. Okay, let me read the one just prior to this to put it in context for you. So it's a book of Revelation, which is supposed to be all prophetic, although it's all written in the past tense, which does make sense to me. I think I can justify that. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords, King of kings, and they that are with him, they are with him, called and chosen and faithful. And he said to me, he who, an angel, a messenger, said to me, wait a minute, I should read the part about the whore. Hold on a second. Let me back up. Beast, saw, was, bottomless, angel. Oh, and I saw a woman drunken with the blood of saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. That is, this feminine thing has soaked up blood of people who were killed, which the planet literally does. Beast horns come back down, and he saith to me, the waters which thou hast saw, I'll stop doing that, and the waters that you have seen, where the whore sits. So where this female thing sits, and the waters are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, literally large group of beings. So it's a direct statement of mathematical identity, waters are. Waters are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Okay? And yes, those words are actually there, including the are. Okay? So
Now I've got to unscramble the idea that the woman is a church or a religious organization or something like that. 'Cause that's the way my brain reads that.
I know. Sister Nisha, flash on your camera for me for just a second. You can turn it back off. What in the world is that? Oh, there you are. Okay. All right, sis. Peace and respect, Nisha. Welcome.
Hi.
You have anything to say right off the bat? Give you the floor.
I just chimed in. I was going to stay for maybe 15 minutes and then I got to run, but I heard about the New Jerusalem, and the heavenly stuff is like my favorite subject.
Me too.
Earth stuff is so boring.
Did you have any comments or observations about the New Jerusalem and your impressions of the New Jerusalem you would like to say right now?
Yeah. I told you I actually saw the ship. Let me pull up the letters I sent. I can read. Let me see.
Floor is yours. Take your time.
Okay. Let
Wait,
me
you
pull.
saw the ship that he's talking about?
Yes. Yeah, and it's not a ship.
You should be
It's
able to
like
see that in space, like no matter
it's
where it is. That's huge.
it's like a planet, but um, it's an atmosphere. It's inside. It's not like ours. I think we have ours is called like an exoplanet, but
Yeah.
this Jerusalem is not. It's like I can't think of the word, and it's at the top of my. It's like a concave Earth. So you're on the inside of it, and
It's
it
a
has its
hollow
own
earth.
atmosphere. Yeah,
The
and
Death
they
Star?
have no.
No.
It's more
Dude.
organic.
It sounds like I like it.
It's
Well, yeah, exoplanet has like the potential to harbor life, but not doesn't
yeah,
necessarily have it. Right?
And
and
and guys, even the King James. Sorry, Niche. Just give me a second. Even in the King James, when you read the waters are separated from the waters, which means large group of beings separated from the other large group of beings, that is angels and us. And it says they're above and we're below, which is apparently true because we're not in outer space with them. And it says that we are on and they are in. And that even comes out in the King James.
oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
the angels, the above that are higher ranking than us, are in the earth.
They're in their firmament, and we are on our firmament.
Hmm.
Oh, so they're not subterranean.
Well,
No.
they die in outer space, so there has to be a layer outside of them.
Die in outer space. Whew. Okay, I'm just trying to keep up. This is just a lot.
I
Like,
can
let me
only
say it
talk
this
about it to
way.
Richard.
I mean, yeah, there's very few people that. I mean, Nisha and I are. We're not walking side by side precisely, but man, we're walking on the same road and we can see each other. Um, let me put it like this. The reason that angels are able to interact with physical beings, the reason that they can like move objects and stuff like that is because they eat food and they sleep and they wipe their butts.
Oh, okay. So they're amongst us and we don't know it.
No, you
This
would
is starting to feel like V.
an angel would really stand out amongst human beings, amongst
Okay.
man. Well, we're all human beings, but they would really stand out. First of all, and I've had children testify to me, and not giving them leading questions, but just asking young children about their imaginary friends. And when kids have good imaginary friends that help them make good decisions, those imaginary friends are about 8 feet tall, and they're handsome, they're beautiful to look at. And I think that's true, that if we quote unquote finished evolving and all of our genetic material was coding, yeah, we'd be like a little bit bigger than basketball players.
So is it like a visual spectrum that we can see certain colors, but we can't see others? Like we can see, because if the children have these friends and they're able to see it and they're in the same plane that we are, is it just that we aren't able to detect them?
I think childhood friends, imaginary friends, invisible friends who are good, what the children are actually trying to explain to us adults is their first experiences of prayer. That doesn't require that anybody physical is anywhere near them.
But this couldn't be sort of a holographic, or not a holographic image, but a message. Because that's what prayer is. You've said that before. It's communication, right?
Yeah.
So is it kind of like baby monitors for us all over the place, where
if you'll take that baby monitor and put it in the core of your brain so that your brain can receive signals from it, and you process those signals in meaningful ways, and then you can test those signals by like walking into the other room and looking at the baby, and yes, you had an accurate picture, then that's prayer.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I've been trying to encourage people for years, and recently I've done a couple remote viewing exercises with people, not labeling it prayer, but having them purposefully pray in a meaningful way that's going to give them information they didn't have. And our sister Nisha here, in an impromptu survey, in a double-blind sealed envelope survey, was able to write 8 characteristics of a 2-dimensional image and only get 2 characteristics wrong.
I mean, that's pretty cool. That's sweet.
But she's practiced at it, and most folks aren't. Everyone else who was there, well, Wildheart would have got 100% with 1 out of 1 drawing.
Yeah.
But then he decided to quote unquote fix it and ruined it and gave himself 2 demerits in changing it. And he would have had 100% with 1 answer, but he wasn't happy with it. And who else was there, Nisha? You recall?
Captain Self-Sabotage.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't remember.
Let's see, Midnight was there.
Yeah.
Midnight drew total trash.
I was there, but I didn't.
You were there, but you didn't participate. And
we've done this before, Richard.
Yeah.
We did this with Ronan. And
where Ronan beat everybody.
I was gonna say, it sounds like Brojo might have been there.
Yeah.
Ronan did better than everyone, and then denied the entire experience. It was insane.
Yeah, it was actually pretty interesting.
So what I'm saying is, we have a natural cell phone in our heads, and so do the angelic, and they can give us pertinent information, which is, I mean, Nisha's not the first one that I've spoken to, and, there's not a collaboration going on here. I've seen pictures of this stuff drawn by people who they had no idea what they'd drawn at all. They described it as like a moon in the sky painted red, or the moon is in the sky and there's people up there and they're having a party and they're really genuinely happy, and I want to go live in the moon. And I mean, I've just heard it so many times. And you don't have to cue them or, make them say it. You just start talking about these experiences. You don't even try to relate it to the Bible. And what comes out of it, here's the major aspects of an accidental prayer. A dream that was more real than real life, and you never lose the details. It's like it was really there and you really experienced it and you can't forget it. And you can write down everything about that experience and close that up in a folder and put it away for a year, and then write it again and open the folder, and it'll be nothing missing. Just nothing. Which shouldn't happen when you remember dreams. What's that?
Can I get your thoughts on an experiment that I'm toying with right now? It has to do with this, I think.
Sure.
The experiment plays along these lines, though, because you're talking about a natural cell phone. I've been experimenting with intentionally using vibration to control mood of people around me.
Oh, nice.
Like by raising or lowering my vibration by my mood, but not saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing to what degree it changes their mood.
Well, what do you think so far with that experiment?
It visual plays a lot into it. It's harder to do, like if someone's not looking directly at you. Well, I say it's harder to do. It's different. The results are different. If they're looking at you, they're taking on
More
like
information.
cues, body cues, right?
Sure.
But if they're not looking at you, I think that you can see a difference. Like if I kind of keep opening, like sending kind of an opening or a welcoming kind of vibration,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to want to talk. They tend to turn around and want to talk to me.
So William, when you talk about raising your vibration, is that akin to saying like adopting a positive mental attitude or a positive outlook when you go into public spaces or something?
Yes, it's
Okay.
it's projecting my mood, but it's not just it's an intentional projection of that mood.
But William, we have well established all of these manifestations of empathy between humans in our methods for like military interrogations and military intelligence information collection and things like that. And it's no guesswork at all. It's no guesswork at all. Let me do this. Let me get rid of this share screen. Hold on. It's no guesswork at all that if I do this while I'm talking to you and I bring my hand down, and it's called batoning.
Mm-hmm.
If I do that while I'm talking to you, you're going to feel slightly threatened, and you're going to feel that I'm authoritative, and you're going to want to submit.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what the human animal does. And when you speak in a higher than normal pitch for once you set in a person's mind the standard of your voice, and then you raise that up about a half an octave and you lilt, you like da-dum, 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 that brings up people's mood. They'll adopt that and they'll start imitating that. And I think that's the difference between someone who's a good host of a party and someone who sucks.
I noticed that over the holidays. I adopted a lot more of that at work, where I started saying happy holidays to people while I was out and about. It was like I felt kind of, a little bit forced to do it. It's not something I usually do, but I also felt like, well, I need to project a positive thing out there. Like there's a lot of people are just meh. And it made me feel better.
Okay. So yeah, I mean we see this all around us, but I'm talking not about people having physical evidence and empathy through their senses experience as much as I am non-physical, non-local empathy and experience. That's what really gets my attention.
I was getting to that because I've been trying to do this in streams lately as well.
Oh.
Because no one can see me.
Right.
But I mean, I can use my voice and do that pretty readily. I mean, I know how to do that, but right. I don't want to do it that way. I want to let other people talk, and then, but it doesn't seem to have any real effect over streams.
Did you try loving at them?
Yeah. But some people seem immune to it.
Have you seen how Will loves? Okay, it can be offensive.
Yeah, that's fair. But you're never left wondering if I care about you, right, Keisha?
Well, I know you care about me, but it's like it's not. I think we had to grow that way though, because we butt heads a lot.
I got that sandpaper love.
Like the last time when I was over at Williams, he told me I was a boring guy, so I'm working on that. No, I took it to heart.
Yeah, but I said it with love.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna hate William at first. I thought he was gonna hate me, but guess what? We're buddies.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
William
yeah.
William is outspoken because William is not dependent on your opinion of him.
Yeah, it's the same here.
Yeah, right on. It's a good way to be. Okay, but I'm talking more about like, and this for whatever reason, the delay in cell phones versus landlines or all the computers working to make a cell phone work, it doesn't seem to work exactly the same. And in my experience, it actually happens less often, though I'm not really sure why. Or maybe it's just our lives are very busy now and they didn't used to be when I was a kid. Back when we had, hardwired landlines, it was not uncommon for people to pick up the phone and go to call each other. Like I had it happen to me, pick up the phone to call a friend. I'm reaching for the button or rotary and I hear beep boop beep beep boop 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 boop. And I'm like, what the hell? How is my phone making these beeping noises? I'm not pushing the buttons yet. Yeah, it was the person calling me.
That happens to me regularly.
But how?
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. Like I'll pick up the phone.
If it's every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, and you guys are scheduled to talk to each other, then it's pretty damned easy to explain.
No, like I don't really even like call a lot of my friends over the phone, but when I do call them, right, on cell phones it'll like go straight to voicemail, and as soon as you hang up, the call is coming through like immediately. So
Hmm.
it's showing that they're actually trying to call you, right?
At the same time,
At
right?
the same time.
Now, why? Why would that be true?
Yeah, I don't
That's
know,
why.
man.
That's why I be like roasting pastors because they say the gifts have ceased. No, they did. We went to cell phones, computers, mail, but in our original mother tongue, that's how we communicated. That's how God would talk to people. I mean, there's an incident in the Bible where God sent somebody, and like you said, they went to open the door and that person was there because both of them got the message from God. They didn't have phones back then. They didn't have cell phones and satellites. So that's why I roast pastors because they say those things are done away with. Then, if that's the case, how are you getting your message outside of the Bible? And then why are you an authority for us to listen to if you're the
Hmm.
only channel? So I think at
Well,
the
you
end of
nailed
the,
it. They want to be the only channel.
yeah. So
I
at
think
the
you're
end of the
just
day,
missing the utility of carrier pigeons, though. We've had those for centuries.
yeah, you can use those, I guess. But yeah, I do not believe those pastors. I think they are part of the system. And at the end of the day, all the churches are going bye-bye. They will become obsolete as they are now because the Bible
Yeah.
says we are ourselves vessels for Holy Spirit. So why do I need to get ready? Hold on. Why do I need to get ready for a rapture when he already knows where I'm at?
Right.
You know, what do I have to do? I have to pack my bags, be in a certain place at a certain time. I don't want that God. That my God knows where I'm at.
To answer Holy Spirit's question here, I have applied for jobs with NASA, but they wouldn't take me. But at the time, I didn't have my GED. Now I do, so I'm going to reapply.
Yeah, and even if you don't get a job, you always can become a citizen scientist with them. Like, sometimes they want you to report clouds in your area, stuff like that. It's really a lot of things you can do with them. But I geared towards them because they
Okay.
were talking.
Little moment of channel business. Sorry to interrupt you. Person backstage. I'm gonna need you to turn on your camera. And I'm going to need you to put 3 fingers on your left hand over your right eyeball. If you can't turn on your camera and put 3 fingers on your left hand over your right eyeball, I'm not going to believe that you are the film you're showing me. I'm not going to believe it. Okay, let's go on.
They're rolling hard this year.
What was that? What was the last thing I said? Because my daughter came in, and then
You were
the
talking
camera.
about becoming like a citizen observer for NASA, I think.
Oh, but the reason, yes, the reason why I geared towards them was because they were talking more about the celestial and heavenly realm than the church today. And they're not hiding. I mean, they are hiding some things, but can you blame them? I mean, look how far we take things. They can't handle simple information without freaking out about the end of the world.
Yeah, well, and if you look at like the basic science, I would say like the greats, the historical figures like Galileo and stuff were just random dudes who sat there looking at through
Hmm.
telescopes at the stars and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
that is the original astronomy.
yeah.
Anybody who's looking out their window.
Especially when you're navigating on waters. That is also our way of finding our direction. So it's very important. When I go on them ships and they have them old school sextants, I am intimidated by them things, and I'm a machinist.
I
Because
just I just bought one.
you
And
can use one.
no, I said I just bought one and I understand the basic principle.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm
You know there's a
intimidated by
YouTube
them.
video how do you use that? Did you know that?
I'm quite sure it is.
There is.
Yeah, so I that's I don't want to dabble in it. But yeah, they're pretty fascinating, and I I admit that's highly advanced when they were using that mostly back in the old times. As
Mhm.
as to now, we got all kind of stuff, satellites, lasers, but to do that, that took some skills. And I think we underestimate how savvy our ancestors were far as technology. I mean, they
Yeah.
have stones where they said they were machine. Now you talking my lingo.
Yeah.
You know which stones I'm talking about? Those H blocks. They
Well,
look
you
like
could be
H's.
talking about one of several places
Well, yeah,
actually.
the Egyptians used.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Richard. Go ahead.
It's okay. No,
Oh,
no.
I know the Egyptians used large stones to cut, like when they made the pyramids, they used stone to cut stone essentially. That it was at a very large scale.
Mhm. Yep. So
Yeah, there is machine work in Gobekli
Puma.
Kep go shoot Gobekli Kepi, stuck on a word. Anyway, there's like these repeating patterns and of like where they cut the stone and hollowed it out somewhat in like
Mhm.
these window shapes with a flat back,
Mhm.
and they are all so precisely the same and so evenly spaced and exactly the same depth to the ridiculous, where like the back side of it, you know, over an area like this big by like that big,
Mhm.
like foot and a half by 2 foot, the back side of it isn't off by, I think it was something like 3 thousandths of an inch at any point on any window,
Mhm.
and that's just insane.
Right, to
If
have
you
that
say
tolerance.
somebody like did that with a chisel and a hammer, I think you're crazy.
And do you think they were working with I'm quite sure they were working with plus and minus tolerances, because the place that I'm talking about is called Puma Punka. You heard of it?
I have
Does
to
it
I have to look it up. person backstage, if you're actually a 9-year-old kid, you're not coming into the stream. And if you aren't a 9-year-old kid, then you ain't coming into the stream. And I'll tell you why. This is an adult channel for adult conversation, okay?
Is that Z? Is Z messing around? I know he was messing around earlier on Sammy's channel, so I was like,
No,
quit
Z
fucking
will
about,
eventually
man.
give in. Heretic Crip will actually eventually give in and flip on his camera. He will. I'm not trusting this person. I know what they're up to, and I'm not even gonna. I don't even want to give them any more attention. If they were honestly trying to come in and is a grown-up person, I'd like to give them the chance. I don't want to be unfair, you know. But I'm not putting up with shenanigans.
Yep. So yeah, Puma Punka really caught my attention in my class when I was reading about it, and I said, "Wow." But it
Can you
was
spell
nice.
that for us?
Oh, Puma Punka, Punku. I mean Punku. Yeah, Puma Punka, and
Okay.
they're H
Ah,
blocks.
it came up. Okay. Oh
Mhm.
wow, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, I know machining, and those blocks were machined.
Yeah. I mean, look at this, guys. What do you think about that?
That's very impressive. They do look
Yeah, I
like
mean, super
they were
impressive work.
machined.
Mhm.
I was when you were talking about that earlier. I was thinking of like a couple people I know who do woodworking, and they can do like really impressive stuff like that. Just
Mhm.
with a pocket knife and a simple block of wood. So
Mhm.
Yeah, but
of
what you're
course,
not gonna find in like hand carved stuff, you're not gonna find the measurements hold up
right?
because what the human eye thinks is straight and parallel doesn't even have to be close to full human eye.
I mean,
Because I mean, believe it or not, we actually have a bit of a fisheye lens effect in our vision, and the way that we perceive distance, versus parallel lines or intersecting lines. You it's like you're not gonna. I mean, I've done some carving and hand carving and used a lot of hand tools to work with wood, etc. Man, you take a micrometer and lay it on two lines that you think are parallel. No, they're not.
So it's like much easier for us to do like swirly things and curly cues than to do a
Yeah,
straight line.
that is
you
true.
not you mean not a micrometer for you
What's
if you
that?
measure in straight lines, you wouldn't use the micrometer for
What
the
do you mean
straight
for
line.
for the distance between two parallel lines? Sure, you
Oh
can.
yeah, yeah,
I do
yeah,
all the.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right about that. Sorry. I heard wrong.
I mean, that's what I use. I just pull out a
Yeah.
basic like a dial micrometer for
And I forget they come in a lot of sizes. So
yeah.
well,
I'm
I gotta go, brothers. And
well.
it
It was
was
nice
nice
talking to you.
talking to you. Yeah. Are you gonna hold another live soon?
Another what?
A live a live show?
Well, we're doing this one right now.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be gone for a while, so I wanted to check in.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
well,
probably gonna be
Nice to see you, Nisha.
after the before I log any real hours. It's gonna have to be after the 9th. I gotta
uh,
wait for StreamYard to reload.
okay, well, I want to join your next live stream, but yeah, I
Well,
think I'm
you're always
looking at the
welcome.
same time as you. All right, bye guys.
All right, goodbye.
Bye. Spoil 'em rotten. I'd actually say that some of this is hand carved and isn't machined. Because
Yeah, I think
I
so.
can even tell with my eye that these aren't perfect. But man, those back flat surfaces look awful flat. And I know how hard that is to do.
Yeah, the smaller ones that are etched into the stone are a lot easier to explain than the large the larger pieces like the H. Those are they definitely have to be machined.
And I'm not seeing anything about this that's telling me, that anybody took measurements on it and that it's like as close to measurement perfect as we can get. That's what I'd
Yeah,
like to see, is
some
down
of
to the
these look like
thousandths within
they're
a thousandth or two.
some of these look like they're possibly in mausoleums or cemeteries. Like the large one on the right on my screen, it looks like it's probably a headstone of some kind, and we can see a lot of instances of that.
Mm-hmm. This looks like maybe they took some measurements of it or something. Let me look into this. This is right back where I just was, but I didn't see any measurements there. Oh my gosh, this page is really long. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Materials.
Oh, but see, if you look really closely at this one that's on display here, you can see the side of the actual stone is not perfect. They've got the front of it very, very well, but the side of the stone looks like it's flawed.
Yeah.
On that H.
Yeah, I mean, I've known carvers this good, So, anyway.
Yeah,
well, it's beautiful work, but
right. But is it? I think they're saying it's a product of something that could not be man-made, and we definitely see there's people that have done that.
Yeah, I don't on that particular set. I don't necessarily agree because I saw some crooked lines and some surfaces that, I mean, damage or no damage. I'd like to see something more consistent. But I tell you what, those H's, they did look pretty much machined. They're pretty darn clean. I don't know. I'd have to take measurements to it, and I don't have that opportunity. Peace and respect, Krishna. What is remote viewing? Remote viewing mechanically and on a spiritual expression are two different things. Two different ways of saying the same thing. I guess is a better way to say it. So, what I believe that remote viewing is gathering of information that's not available to you, which requires a conversation, and there's no such thing as a source of information that isn't intellectually aware. We just don't see that in nature. And if you want to understand that more deeply, you would need to look into the difference between data, Shannon information, and complex information. Or classical information would be the last category there. So just like right now in trying to answer your question, what is remote viewing, I'm using my database of terms and ideas and my understanding of the English language to structure those ideas in a certain order, and then I present that to you in a chunk that we call a sentence. And if I'm any good at it, you're going to understand what I'm saying. But even in the very, very simplest of terms, let's say something that only has just a couple few letters, like the word cat. Okay? Cat. Well, that's each of those characters, C-A-T, contain ideas that you've been taught throughout your life that make the presentation of vocalizations and certain word parts that you can switch them around and use them in different order and all kinds of. You can say tack, right? And that's not the same thing as cat. But even in the simplest of words, like the word cat, if you were walking through a forest, and there's trees, and there's a bit of a breeze, and there could be some animals around or whatever, right? But you're the only human in the area, and you heard a twig snap, right? You'd be like, oh, a twig snap, that's probably some kind of fairly heavy animal stepped on something, right? And if you heard wind in the trees and you heard branches that were rubbing together and a branch went, rah, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, that's probably wind and wood rubbing against wood, and that totally makes sense to me. And you'd be fine with all that, and you expect those kinds of noises. But if you were ever walking through a forest and you heard cat, there's no way that any of us, because we instinctually understand these things, would think that branches rubbing together or animals stepping on twigs made the word cat. That's never ever possible, because cat is so specific, even though it's so horribly short, and it sounds a certain way, and there's actually a lot of complex mouth movements in the word cat, that an unintelligent thing simply cannot create something like that. Never mind if you heard an idea like a set of simple things without consciousness could never create a word like cat. And that whole idea that I just presented to you, that definitely is a marker of a conscious being, a sentient being using a knowable code, like in this case English, to some second user of the knowable code, in this case person calling themselves Holy Spirit, to translate complex ideas. And we see no occurrence of that other than in intelligent beings. So it's not the data points. That's not it. That's not what cat is. Nor is it the complexity. Letter number 3, letter number 1, letter number 17, or whatever T is. That's data complexity. And how many letters are there, and what's the overall complexity of the total word or data set. That's Shannon complexity. But the word cat means something, and we all know what that means. And that's a much greater idea, because you could do data, and you can do data complexity, but you want to talk about complicated and difficult to understand. Try to recall everything that you know about what is catness, and look at the complexity and depth of ideas of all that. Well, what is cat? Cat is something that chases mice, that likes to lay on warm surfaces. It purrs when it's being pet the right way that it likes. It will chase dead things if they just move. Inanimate objects that are artificially agitated or whatever. It likes to be in groups. It's kind of a pack animal. All this stuff that cat means. It's warm and furry, and it has a tail and kind of pointy ears, and its irises aren't like ours. They're not round. They're slit-like. All that is what cat means, and all your personal experiences ever attached to the idea of cat have to be thrown on top of everything else that's common. So all of those ideas and all that complexity, when you use the word cat, means all that stuff to you, which is a lot of stuff. And we don't see those kinds of complexities occurring without a mind. We just too much. And a practical example is like, I'm in my car listening to the radio, and I hear a song. And what that means in real terms is that the vibration of my eardrums created a unique song. No. Well, the airwaves hitting my eardrums created a unique song. That's wrong, obviously. Speakers vibrating created a unique song. Also not true. The wires, the radio, the antenna, the radio waves in the air, the transmitting station, the equipment in the radio station, the DJ, the CD. No, the artist. The artist created a unique song. Nothing else there could. So we see that every source of classical information it always traces back to a mind. So if I'm in a meditative state and I receive what could be information, that is, it's complicated enough, it translates ideas, it's not nonsense, and it's outside of my experience range. I'll give you a for instance. What if in the middle of the night I catch a ride to a town that I'm not familiar with and I don't have a map and there's no one to talk to because it's the middle of the night, but I want to find where my brother is in the hospital in this state that I never go to, in a town I've never been in. And my remote viewing or prayer says, turn right here, turn left here, turn right here, turn left here. And I go and I find the hospital that way, having taken the shortest route that was possible in the least amount of time that is possible, and I walk directly to that hospital. Well, the chances of me just walking arbitrarily to a hospital in some place I'm unfamiliar with, you can imagine, is a very low chance, because a city looks like a city and buildings look like buildings, and there's not a blue line on every street leading you to the hospital. That's just not how it works. And unless you happen to cross a sign that said hospital this way, which is, that's going to point you in the right direction, that's going to help. But how'd you find that dang sign in the first place? So that would normally involve, you'd expect to hear something like, I wandered around until I found a sign that read hospital, or I found a person that could tell me, or something like that. But that actually happened in my real life, what I just described to you, and the distance that I walked apparently was, I didn't know it at the time, was just under 4 hours. I walked 12 miles. It's about 3 miles an hour, which is a good human walking pace, but nothing extraordinary. I never turned around and backtracked at all, and I took literally the shortest possible route directly to the hospital. Now, there's no way to explain valid information coming into my mind outside of, which had to be outside my, that's not my town, which had to be outside of my experience, that led me directly to a hospital 12 miles away through some neighborhoods and a little bit of forest and on to downtown and over to the hospital. But that's one occurrence out of literally thousands. Now, what I want to do is I want to teach people how to culture this in themselves using a scientific method of double-blind survey, so that they can be sure they're not lying to themselves, because it's actually impossible to lie in a double-blind survey, so that they can refine this same skill that I've been working on refining for about 10 years. I hope that answers. You act like you're laughing and you think I'm silly, but I'm asking you, man, what pertinent information that you were able to falsify in real life did you ever receive in prayer? Anything? Ever? Your whole life? Anything? It's not funny, man. I don't think you know what prayer is. I don't think you could do it. You probably just heard the first definition of prayer your whole life. And by the way, the first time it happened to me, I didn't know what it was either. I had to sit down and like logically think about it and like create flow charts and say, well, it can't be this, and it can't be this, and it can't be this. And what are the aspects of it? A, B, C, D. And really map it out and take a look at it. And really harshly look at the aspects of it. Peace and respect. Flow state. Links at the top, Flow State, if you get a minute. I mean, have you ever asked of the Father something that you needed informationally and got it? And then tested against the reality, and it was necessarily outside of your experience in the first place, which is why you didn't have an answer? And then tried to falsify that against reality. It was falsifiable, but it didn't become falsified, though you tried. You ever had that? See, you're just going to ad hom me. That's all you're going to do. Why don't you answer my question? Link's in the top, Jill. It's in the top of the side chat. It's pinned, so I know it didn't go away. Repeatedly and never gotten an answer. I'm sorry to hear that theological introspection. Caterpillar, an earth-moving vehicle company. Yes, that's true. Well, yeah. Okay, so theological introspection. Is it possible at all that you have tried prayer under what some church taught you that prayer means? And do you differentiate between asking for interventions on physicality and asking for information in real time? Because I have never had a prayer answered that was an intervention on physicality. I've never seen that happen in an immediate sense. Okay? And I think that would involve defeating physics, and personally, and maybe this is why it doesn't happen for me, I don't believe defeat of physics is possible. However, I have like real experience of translation of information through knowable code between intelligent, aware beings all the time. We've been doing it now for like an hour and like 30 minutes, which makes me want a cigarette. What do you think about all that, Odine? I'm just saying theological that always ask for intervention on physical IE. Physical IT. Physicality. Are you French? That's like a French spelling of it.
He's British.
Always ask for intervention on... that looks like physicality. Or maybe it's some other language, not French. I don't know. But it's understandable. Yeah, it's understandable enough. Have you ever asked for just information?
I don't know. Like I said the other day, typically when I pray, I'm pretty much just kind of thanking, just being thankful for
Okay.
what I have and what's available to me.
I call that worship.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah. That's typically what I do. There were moments, I think, this was like when I was younger, where I asked for things, right? But after a while, I realized that the things that I was asking for were things that weren't beneficial to me intellectually, physically, and stuff like that. So I'm, thankful that I didn't get those things. But in terms of asking for information, I never felt like I needed to do that, mainly because I think, a lot of instructions that I've gotten just from the Bible in terms of lifestyle, like avoiding drinking, drugs, like stuff like that.
That stuff all helps a lot. It does.
Yeah. I'm able to, typically make sound decisions, right? But in terms of asking for information, I don't recall I've ever done it before, to be honest with you. Apparently, like her conversation on the other channel, I I guess I receive information through my dreams. Right?
Yes. I mean, evidently, if you can draw a fairly accurate picture of someone's face, that's definitely informational. In fact, it's highly complex information.
Yep. So with that in mind, and again, right, uh, some of these people that I've met, they needed to meet someone like me, right? Um, and so I've had an impact on their life, and I'm happy I'm able to do that. But at the end of the day, right, it was never necessarily, you know, me asking for information. I just kind of like received it and pushed in certain directions.
The first thing I ever received, I didn't ask for, but then I sat down and like broke down the process, and I really considered how I could falsify, because my mom was a science teacher. This is the first thing I did. I sat down and said, how can I show this is not true? How can I show this is my imagination? How can I disprove it? Because the scientific method is not designed to confirm a thing. It's designed to destroy the entire idea. And then when you try to destroy it in every possible way and it's still there, that's the likely answer.
Yes.
So the hard part's being honest enough to say, excuse me, in which ways could I destroy this? That's the hard part.
And it's funny too, because one of the main reasons why I started drawing and like writing stuff down was because of that skepticism.
Yeah, good for you.
Right? I'm like, okay, this doesn't even make sense. Maybe this is just deja vu and I'm just feeling this particular way, right? Let me just start writing stuff down.
I see you backstage, Sugar Britches. You know I'm going to ask you to turn on your camera and like wave at me or flip me off. Yeah,
that'll be easy.
It's just hard to get film footage of somebody flipping you off midnight.
Debate me, bro.
Got midnight backstage.
Oh, no, because midnight. Okay.
That's good.
Never
That'll
mind.
work. Thank you. And
Okay,
Sammy.
Richard?
Sammy, flip me off, bro.
Richard, it's always me.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't trust it that we've already had somebody try to come in.
You up. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. I get that.
Yeah. They
Listen.
were trying to get in on Brojo's channel and mine earlier. They're out there in
I'm
force
Batman.
today.
Well, they're off for Christmas break, you know. Till New Year's. They're going to be bored. They're going to be trying to get in everywhere. You know they're 14-year-old kids. You know they are.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna tell Midnight to save up all the flip you off tokens, so one day when he's mad, he could just actually flip you off, and there'll be no consequences.
It's funny. And this is gonna sound a bit like a dad joke or something, but in my day, we had prank phone calls. And that's essentially what this is for these kids. But in my day, it was like, hello, is there Amanda there? Amanda hug and kiss?
Okay, I'm sorry, but that's always funny to me.
I have to acknowledge this. It's me. I'm being facetious. I don't have any topic to debate you about. I'm just fucking with you right now.
Flow state, is that an onion?
I like Flow
A
State
red
a
onion.
lot.
Yeah,
Wait,
Trusty
really?
Ape has a sweet Vidalia, or what is that? A red onion? Is that what that is?
Kick
It's actually a purple onion.
Purple onion.
Kick him.
They consider
Onions.
this a purple, which some people call it a red onion, but there
Onions are the devil
a couple
fruit.
of different varieties.
They're
You're the
demon
devil.
vegetables. Get rid of it. My eyes hurt just looking at it. Ugh,
Oh, come on, Batman. Toughen up a little bit.
it's that bad.
Didn't mean to
That's
be
my
rude
only
earlier, Rich.
kryptonite.
I know you had to go.
I
You had to
left
go,
because
bro.
of Sterling. Yeah, Sterling had I had an obligation at Sterling's, but I gave him back as soon as I could.
It's all good. Glad you met your obligation. People should keep their word. That's good. Okay, so I think that too many times people think that God should intervene with physical reality and defeat physics for them, but I don't see any such claim anywhere in the text of the Bible, even between the Father and the Son. I got 0 examples of that. Information, however, transfer of information, now that seems readily available and easily approved. And that's everywhere in the prayers. So I try to stay to just that, information.
Yeah. Plus, it's just easier to wirelessly download, the information. And I just kind of noticed that God doesn't like laziness. Everything that we want, we have to earn it and work for it. I mean, even in a paradise garden, if you grant that, right? Like, he has to tend to the garden and be a steward.
Well, God probably doesn't like laziness because he's not lazy. Therefore, he expects his creation created in his image, not to be lazy. But if that's the case, why would he make some of them disabled? Why would he make?
No, he's a
some-
good father, though.
What would God think about us reading the Bible on the internet or holding a tabernacle over the internet? Right? It was a tabernacle, right? By definition.
I can't see any reason biblically why that would be objectionable.
Yeah.
I mean, we're having church right now where 2 or more gathered speaking in my name, there I am. Mm-hmm. This is the definition of church right here.
Do not forsake the gathering of yourselves together.
It's encouraged. He's right.
I'm just saying, though, the first, downloading on a tablet, Moses did that. So.
Oh, bad joke. Bad download onto a tablet. I had not heard that one. That was pretty awesome.
Fuck you, Dean. I'm about to. There was almost choking on my peas.
Okay. Don't forget in the next 7 minutes that you guys actually love each other. Have a good conversation. I'm going to go smoke.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I could safely say I like everyone here. I don't know if I love all of y'all, but
Well, I mean,
probably.
I don't know you. You don't know me. Nobody knows each
Booga,
other.
booga, booga.
I don't know, folks.
Midnight. I've been in like 10
me.
rooms with you. You just don't remember me,
Dude. And trust me, Trusty, you love us all.
I don't know, man. He has an onion as a wallpaper, and
I didn't say we love him.
Everybody loves me, though.
It's the onion of truth. Yes.
Oh, indubitably.
Will definitely does. He calls me the radiant one, the shiny one, the
I would
light,
say
the beacon, at
The
the end of the
translucent one.
tunnel. The translucent powder.
the clear one.
Powder 2.0.
I watched that movie and I loved it. It was so fucking sad, though.
which one?
The movie Powder.
I haven't seen it.
That was a horrible. I mean, it was tragic, is what I should say. It was a great film, but it was so tragic.
Okay, yeah. Good thing you corrected yourself. It was a horrible movie.
Which movie did you watch? How was that movie tragic? I thought that it ended perfectly.
What?
I mean, Powder went back home into space.
Powder? Is this like a puppy dog or something?
No, it's a movie.
Jeez.
You never seen
Oh.
Powder?
It's the only albino movie.
Oh.
It's a white
And it's called
albino.
Powder?
Yes.
I know it seems like it's a rip on him, but it's not. That's the name they gave him in the movie.
Why didn't they just call him Milky or something? Fuck.
No,
Well, I
Powder's
mean, he
much
didn't
better.
belong here. He's like Sparkle. He just didn't belong
he's
here.
an
He
I
needed to
think it
be-
was like the reverse of the
He needed
pimp
to be
slap.
back in
Like
the-
when
in
you
the
slapped
heavens.
him, he emitted baby powder. Like you didn't even need to apply baby powder. Like just.
No, he emitted electricity and fried motherfuckers. Like
yeah,
he
well,
just
yeah, that too.
Yeah, right.
It's actually a pretty good movie in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
like he sort of went to heaven in a way. He went to the sky.
But does good mean emotional?
I mean, it was emotional. Like at one point to beat the shit out of him. Come on, man.
Well, yeah, there's a
Like,
lot of it's a lot of
Yeah.
relatable things in there to
Especially for
anybody
me.
who's been.
Oh, okay, but that's only emotional because of the music they played. If it would have been like 80s rock music, it would have been an action flick, and you wouldn't have felt anything for him.
That's messed
But they
up.
played that sad music while they're beating him, and you're just like, it's like Sarah McLachlan
Oh,
like telling you about the dogs. It
Or if
just
you're
breaks
playing
your
like
fucking
Grand
heart.
Theft Auto at the time, you're like, yeah, fuck that guy, beat him up.
Really, I don't know if you realize what you're saying.
What do you mean?
It's like, okay, well,
I know-
the only reason because it's sad is because of the sad music. If you have
Yeah,
Okay,
if
do you
you-
watch
imagine
action
if you
movies,
had-
Sparkle?
imagine
I
if you
watched a
had
few in my
circus
lifetime.
music over that.
Okay, when you're watching John Wick execute people, 8 people in 30 seconds, do you feel emotional, or are you just like, oh yeah, kill them, fuck them, yeah?
Well, I don't
It's
feel
because
I
of the
don't
music.
Feel, well, I don't feel emotional over them. I'd be like, okay, it depends on the context. No, Powder was just minding his own goddamn business.
Come on, dude. He killed a guy with a book. I felt bad for that dude. I'd
If,
rather
yeah,
get
if you were committing a genocide, don't you think you would need a perfect playlist? Like, does God have a perfect genocidal playlist?
Wait, we're talking about
It's
Powder
all Barry
here. How the hell
Manilow.
did-
I
how the
mean,
hell
well,
did-
no, that just like
Mandy, you came.
Oh, that's the theme.
It's
for
all
the
just Kenny
apocalypse.
G. It's Kenny G in the background as like the apocalypse falls.
Oh,
He's
fuck.
just standing up on a mountaintop. It's the real Kenny G, like preserved like a saint, just blowing the trumpet of God.
the complete with Beethoven.
Oh, but I had the full visuals of that.
I'm
That
glad I
was
could help.
great.
It was either that or Milli Vanilli lip syncing.
Oh, God.
I don't belong in this room. You people are too smart to be allowing me in here. I came here a while ago. They're talking about like Jupiter and impacts and all sort of stuff. I'm just like, hey, can you control people like with vibrations of your mind? That's all I've got. That's all I got. The sci-fi's I have.
Yeah, I tried to go with the good vibrations. Yeah.
Don't forget your vibrators.
I mean, don't forget. Don't forget. I don't belong here either.
You could
Especially on
also
this
use
planet.
your
I don't want to get electrocuted. I'm not going to piss you off.
You could use your thumb knuckle as a vibrator as well. If you don't know, I'm here to let you know.
I'm listening.
Oh shit!
Oh no, I got a
Sammy's prostate is in
tutorial.
for a hell of a night.
What the fuck are we talking about?
Prostates.
Oh, well.
And knuckle vibrate.
I'm Batman.
That may have been the best time to do that.
It was.
I've had that
well-timed.
fantasy.
Batman can have any woman he wants. And any guy
Great
he
Scott,
wants, apparently.
Batman.
I don't know.
Break out the vibrating bat knuckle.
Oh shit!
You know,
Wants
honestly,
one
I
woman
would
to kill.
I would say one of the best parts of Powder is to have Jeff Goldblum in there. Jeff Goldblum added to the movie so much.
I think they should go
Life,
through and take Jeff
finds a way.
Goldblum's clips from every movie he's ever been in and just compile them into one long movie. No plot, just clips of Jeff Goldblum delivering
I'm
lines.
sure you can find
I
that
would-
video on YouTube.
I'd
Yeah, I'm sure
look
there's
because
someone
I
who's
need
done
it.
that.
I have one of Christopher Walken.
Oh yeah.
Christopher Walken's best, and people are going to disagree, but if you've ever seen The Rundown, him trying to explain the concept of the tooth fairy to South Americans and have a guy translating it in Portuguese, It doesn't get better than that.
Jeff Goldblum, he's an anomalous actor, like, because he has like probably 3 actual good performance roles in movies, but he himself is so likable that you don't care that the movie is shit. Like
It's
Jeff
all
Goldblum
the same character.
rescues everything.
Yeah, it's all the same character though. He is the same.
Especially Control.
Walking thing, because I need to
The movie Control by Adam Sandler.
my-
At least I think it was called Control. Oh, Click. Yeah,
add that
Click, yeah.
Christopher Walken thing to my playlist to fuck to.
I don't know if I can comment on that, Sammy, because normally I'll be there and I'll just probably want to turn it off.
It's Christopher Walken.
Like Al Pacino's another one. Like Al Pacino has had great movies or whatever, but the best shit is him on an airplane in Son of a Woman trying to explain to Chris O'Donnell how great pussy is.
Morgan Freeman.
Can't stand it.
I'm God.
All right. Best role for Morgan then. What is Morgan's best role?
I would say Lucius Fox, but I would also give him God from Bruce Almighty and Evan Almighty. Let's see, what else is there?
Was it Lean on Me?
Shawshank Redemption, dude. He made that movie.
Yeah. Shawshank Redemption, and I think Lean on Me he was in, and he's pretty strong in that.
Yeah. Shawshank Redemption would be mine.
Dude, his voice is a pussy magnet.
It's the way he pauses and drags out what he's saying. It's like he just exudes wisdom.
I know, right?
It's a pheromone that attracts all the women.
And men. Don't forget that.
Oh, and have you heard him talk about I don't think it was critical race theory specifically, because that wasn't a thing at the time of the clip.
I think he was just talking about racism.
Yeah, exactly.
Just fucking stop talking about it.
Exactly. And this was like in the 80s or some shit. I'm sure it was a really old clip.
Guys, teacher's back. Comic books under the desk.
Chewing gum away.
Welcome back, Richard.
No, nobody did anything bad. It was all Boy Scout activity.
Yep.
Not that Boy Scout activity that you don't want to talk about.
Wow, I was thinking about that too, but I didn't want to say anything, Will.
I hope I create an environment where everyone is always welcome to speak their truth. If I'm not doing that, I'm failing miserably because I really want to create that. Okay?
Well, while you were away, we just said a bunch of bollocks, so...
Yeah, I figured that. But
we're talking about films and literature and all kinds of good stuff.
He doesn't buy that.
You could edit it out later.
Yeah, I trust I'm not going to have to edit anything out of this video, actually. All right.
Can't edit out that onion.
Anybody have any serious thoughts?
Well, not after the break.
No. We all got silly in the break.
Well, that's okay, too.
All right. Well, I mean, totally aside, but what do you think about the idea of redemption? Redemption. We're talking about the Shawshank Redemption, but I mean, you know, I just got the idea. Like, okay, so like in the Bible,
from what to what?
Yeah,
that's a great topic.
Okay, so this sounds like I'm not answering right away, but I am on topic. I promise. It's going to make sense in a minute. Okay, so if there is some intelligent beings in the Bible, they call themselves Elohim, powerful beings, that authored this text. That is, if it even has value, which in a lot of reading frames, it doesn't have any value, actually. Then there are obvious promises, like you're not going to kick a rock by accident and really hurt your foot. You're going to be preserved. You're going to have heaven named after you. I will grant anything that you say in prayer in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
On and
Sorry.
on and on like that. Yeah, seriously.
It's a habit.
It obviously it obviously doesn't apply to Christians who try it. And I know
Peace be
that.
upon you, Richard.
Thank you. I am different from how I started from when I started that sentence. That man is dead. Okay, so it evidently doesn't work, right? Let's just admit it. It doesn't work. Every time you read in the text where Jesus does anything like this, it works. Okay, so what's that saying? It's saying that I'll grant it, but I'm only going to grant it for this one guy. That's it. That's it. No other promises are even made.
So only Talkin
Right.
saved. Okay.
No, not that this one guy.
I know. I was making a joke. Sorry, Richard.
It was witty. I didn't see that coming. I didn't. So you got me, man. So if the promises aren't to anybody that picks it up and reads it, but they're written there, right? And they are true of Christ, and he's written in there, then the intention of the promises are to Christ. That's just real simple logic. Good so far?
Intention matters more than action, or at least as much as action.
Yeah, easily. I mean, we can make mistakes in our actions, but the intent could be there, so I see your point. So, okay. So either it's making a bunch of hollow promises with no fulfillment to anyone who picks it up, or it's fulfilling every promise to one who picks it up. Fair?
Well, okay, but that's a contradiction to being a savior of the multitude, right? Like, because that is what is claimed.
Not. No, first things first, save him. Because if he's dead, he can't do his job.
Okay. All right, I follow.
Okay. Now, Christians will read this thinking they're the intended reader and God is a huge failure, but they keep hoping he'll start to succeed sometime soon. But he doesn't. But that would make sense if the promises weren't to them. All right? Next problem. It's written down. Why would it be written down? Well, Jesus proclaims why it's written down in the text. He makes a proclamation. He says, I do, that's present tense. And by the way, this is during the time of his testimony. I do as I see, also present tense, my Father do before me. So if you had some kind of thing that indicated what had happened in the past, what would you call that?
A record?
A record. He has a record. Okay, so he's talking about having a record of what the Father did. Literally, right there in the present tense time. So, would it even make sense, would it be consistent within the text to say that Jesus should have a record of what the Father did before him? Which, by the way, I don't know if anyone caught this. Jesus says this during his time of testimony, which means the Father did the same thing that he did, which was testimony. Does anyone want to drop out and let in flow state, or am I going to force him to wait till I'm done with this? And then
Okay, I guess Will left.
Oh.
I was offering.
Hey, I didn't mean to have anybody jump out. I'll jump back out and wait. If
you
I didn't
never
realize.
asked me for that. Somebody volunteered.
Okay.
Yeah, he threw it.
Will, if you look
You're
back
on
in,
something
I can
there,
jump
though.
out and wait. Just say something in the chat and I'll see it.
Okay.
No.
All right. if I could just
Richard,
wrap up
what you
that.
just said though,
Yeah.
as far as then necessarily Jesus does not have to have knowledge of the Bible, right?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Is
He
is
doesn't need prior knowledge of the Bible.
Well, that's interesting. How could he fulfill the prophecy if he does not know the prophecy, or if he has
By
not learned of
reading
the
it.
prophecy? So Jesus
By
has to read the Bible first.
and pray on it. Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't start his ministry until he was 30, right?
Yeah, he had some free time.
Keys might help.
How long does it take to read the Bible if you were a serious student? You were doing it like, say, 8 hours a day. How long would it take? Maybe a few months at the most?
Yeah.
Okay. So not much longer.
Yeah, you
not
probably
very
read the
long.
Bible in a half a year. I think a half a year would be a good.
Okay.
You could say that somebody's digested the word.
We read it in
so
a semester when I was in high school. I went to a Catholic school, and it was an assignment, so it took us a semester. And we sure weren't spending 8 hours a day.
No. So, but of course you guys were like hitting the highlights and reading as fast as possible and trying to pass tests, so you didn't
Right.
really care. It's not like it
Right.
was an in-depth study. For him, it'd have to be a really in-depth study. But he's missing from the time he's 12 until he's an adult. It's not like he didn't have time to read it. So, so this works really well. 420, I'm getting a echo through your mic there.
Sorry.
So this
Is
works.
any better?
It is now, yes, thank you. So this works really well in the description of the life of Christ. It says that, well, he's born, right? Then he grows up, and he starts proclaiming the truth about his Father God, right? And then that really pisses off local authorities, and they kill him, and anyone who hurts him is obviously going to hell for killing him, right? And then 3.5 days later, he's raised from the dead, and for 40 more days, he talks about his experience and the Father, and he tells the truth some more, and then he ascends into heaven. But that's the breakdown of the two witnesses of end times. And if the two witnesses aren't Christ, then Christ's life is not particularly special. It happens 3 times. But if it is Christ, then it's consistent with all of the Bible. And it also explains why you shouldn't find any historical evidence of something that hasn't happened, because future events don't have evidence for them. And that all makes perfectly good sense to me.
But
So
Christ could be just kind of a cool dude, right? He doesn't have to be the savior, the Messiah of all mankind. He
I
could
don't
just
know
be
what
like,
you mean.
well, maybe he was just a good guy, but he's not really the savior, the Messiah.
Okay, well, I don't know what you feel that. I'd like to just hear your definition of what those words mean, Savior, Messiah, either one or both or whatever.
Well, okay, I think a savior is someone who is going to absolve someone of all their wrongdoings. A Messiah is someone who is going to teach the absolute truth, the best wisdom and knowledge available, I guess, at their disposal, right? So if you have both, which is what is claimed of the Christ,
Yeah.
then you'd have to have those attributes.
Okay, so there's some blood magic in there, which I don't think the Bible claims. All right? But all it takes to save a people if they're walking slowly toward a cliff is to stand near the cliff yelling cliff. You just need to expose the truth. They'll do what's right after that. Okay? Because they don't want to die. They just don't know there's a cliff in front of them. New life in the grace of... Are you Jill? You have to show me something, man. You're going to have to turn on your camera. I'll give you plenty of time to turn it back off. But you're going to have to hold your left hand up and put 3 fingers in front of your left eye for me to let you on. Because there's already been trolls tonight. If you don't do it, I'm seriously not letting you on. So, okay, so I don't think the Bible is claiming any blood magic, but I think this is what it is claiming. people have misunderstandings about what these spiritual stories mean because of traditions and time, and they call it Chinese whispers or telephone game. And things get twisted over time. In this case, the ideas have gotten twisted. Luckily, this story is so prevalent throughout the earth that if any part of it was ever changed, it would be really evident to me, and I know that no part's been changed. The umbrella overview is still there. It's solid as a rock. So what it claims is people do the right thing when they have evidence, if they understand the evidence. So what needs done? Translation of the evidence. That's it. That's Jesus' only job. Now, unlike Christians, what the Bible claims is there's one unforgivable sin. That's blasphemy of the Holy Ghost. Okay? It's saying something like the Holy Ghost doesn't exist. And with it, all the implications of the Holy Ghost doesn't exist. Right? So this is very much in my mind, I like to liken it to something that Groucho Marx said several years ago when he got famous and wealthy and was invited to join men's clubs. And then he was interviewed on a TV talk show, and they asked him why he hadn't joined one. And he said, well, I would never join a men's club that would have me as a member. Well, you see what happens there is he eliminated himself. Now there's nothing for the men's clubs to do to get Groucho Marx to join. They can send him flyers. They can tell him how cool he is. They could do anything. But he's definitionally eliminated himself. In like manner, if you say there's no Holy Spirit, it's the same as saying I didn't just meet angels, and that thing in the sky ain't heaven. Now, unless you wanted those in heaven to defeat your free choices and enslave you and force you, which I'm pretty sure most people wouldn't like, and that wouldn't be benevolent, that wouldn't be a moral act, then all they can do is present you evidence and evidence and evidence. One of the greatest evidences given in the text is that angels know the human body better than science does right now, and here's how they prove that. They let the star of the show get murdered on purpose. By the way, the star of the show causes the murder. He gets himself murdered, right? And then they wait till he's ripe and nasty. Like really, really no kidding dead. Like there's flies eating on his eyeball and he doesn't object. Okay? He's frickin' dead. He's shat himself. He's dead. He's laying in a pile of his own urine. He's frickin' dead. A puddle of his own urine. And then they bring him back to life. Why? Because it proves they know more about you than you. Why
I was going to say
just
because he's sexy.
Well, he's going to be sexy, but I'm sure of that. So sexy the apostles don't even recognize him from his old self. In fact, really, really different.
My mom is sexy. Debate me, bro.
Right on.
What are we debating?
How sexy?
I have no idea.
Apparently.
You picked the topic. I'm just.
It wasn't my challenge. I'm just receptive to it.
I know. That's
I gotta,
why I
gotta
picked
text
it.
my
It
daughter
was,
first,
it was
and
fun.
I got to text my daughter first, and I think Richard's still.
No, do that. I just haven't heard much from Flow State, so I'm just trying to pull it out of there.
I'm about to hand over the floor to anybody that wants it for a long time, because I went on a long time, but it's kind of a complex thing. Okay, so what Jesus does is he offers himself up in a trust relationship, trusting that they're going to bring him back, right? Lets himself get killed, which probably ain't too pleasant. I mean, that's one bad weekend, 3 days dead. That's pretty rough, and a rough way to go, by the way. Not the roughest.
I just want to make sure I understood earlier, Richard. So, he was alive?
He will be alive for end times, yes.
Sorry, I'm being funny because you were so adamant. He was dead. Like flies eating his eyeballs. Dead. Like shitting
Yet to
himself,
live,
dead.
Sammy.
And
yeah, exactly.
I thought I'd be
yeah.
funny and say so.
The people there, bear in mind
The story
that this
speaks in the past tense, but
So this is like 6
Sorry.
3/4 year into the whole process, and people have met angels. Heaven's been hanging out in the sky for almost 7 years now. Like they know what's going on, and by the time and the first ascension and much of the I'm sorry, yeah, I can say it that way. The first ascension and much of the second ascension of people has been going on now for like 6.5 years, which is why you have Jesus saying things like, well, you're a dog from a foreign country, you're crap, piss off, lady. It's because she's already seen all this stuff and he wants to actually test her and see if she's serious. Because she needs to be freaking serious. And he needs to know she's serious about it and not understanding something that isn't or going against her will out of desperation. Because that's not okay. They have to genuinely want heaven. Nobody going to heaven forced. Nobody going coerced. That's not the deal. Not a moral thing to do. Okay, so
What? But what's the alternative?
oh, you could stay here and they could resurrect you into heaven, and you could decide then to off yourself or live in heaven, or you could just you could reject heaven at all times, in which case you're lost forever. Those are possibilities.
It's an 8.
So it's not like nobody has any choice. What do you think about all that, Kevin? Does that even make sense?
No, I got completely lost while I was looking for my monkey. But I wanted wait. I had an idea and then I forgot it. I'm sorry.
I'm glad you found your monkey though.
Ooga booga booga.
So the floor belongs to somebody.
William popped in and out.
Yeah, I just said
I
ooga
don't-
booga booga. Take a look at that monkey.
Oh.
I don't know, Richard. I still think that my my semi hive mind theory is probably a thing. I think I'm gonna try to see if I can look up any form of like biblical backing for that, because I
Right.
think to reach that particular state that's required, I think humanity kind of needs to be in that state of communication.
That
Can you
sounds
hit
I
that
think-
theory in a nutshell? I'm sure it sounds like you've already gone over it, but can you just give me the headline of what that theory is?
So basically, the idea is that in order for us to reach a state where we're worth transcending, we have to be able to be on the same page when it comes to relationships, right? And how you can do that is through a hive mind. You have to have a singular goal and a particular way to get towards it. Now, when I say hive mind, it could also be grounded in a concept or an idea, right?
I think you're looking for the 10 Commandments.
Yeah. Or even just, something simple as love your neighbor as you love yourself, right?
What do you do with the people who don't want to do the hive mind dance?
Well, that's the thing. You won't do that, won't be necessarily a thing, right? Because everyone who is everyone will be connected to that hive mind. Like I say semi, right? Because you have control over, your own personhood, right? But because we're all connected, you have a deeper understanding of each other, right? I think it'll be much easier for us to achieve that.
Is it
Right.
a transhumanism thing or a spiritual connectedness?
I don't know, pick your poison.
I
No,
mean,
that
what
matters.
you're-
That definitely
what-
matters.
What you're proposing here, Odian, could be easily expressed as elevated ability of prayer.
I guess you can say that, but my issue with that particular idea is that most of us see the concept of praying as, we don't see it as the same. Where the idea of loving your neighbor, for example, as you love yourself, that's pretty simple and straightforward. Basically, if you want to be treated good, right, you'll treat your neighbor good. Now, if you want to be treated bad, right? Well, treat your neighbor bad and see what will happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Well,
but Odin, you're
So it's
talking
a,
about something different. You're talking about
but
a
it's
hive mind.
yeah, but it's also applying to your own self-interest, right? And so us humans, we're selfish. So we have to, in order for a hive mind to really exist, a semi-hive mind, right? It has to be grounded in our own self-interest minimally, right? So
Yeah, but is the purpose
Mhm.
so that we can relate to each other, or is it so that everybody is forced to be on the same page?
Well, the purpose of it is to relate to each other in to the point to where we've set a specific goal that we have that in order to achieve it, we absolutely have to work together. And
but don't we already do this to some extent? I mean, it is held up in court before that a person turned around and aggressed someone else and hurt them and knocked them out based on the idea that people around them and themselves had the feeling somebody was behind them, and somebody was.
yes, I definitely think we
I
have
So
that
mean,
aren't
you're
feeling.
talking about
I think that's
intuition. That's not a hive mind,
that's
though.
that's one of the labels. But if we had like some kind of extremely good intuition and empathy for each other, isn't that a hive mind?
yes, you can. I think that's one way you can achieve it versus like a direct link to someone's mind, right? I don't know how we're gonna
How are you
necessarily
going to
evolve.
how are you going to pull empathy or to make empathy a thing for someone who doesn't naturally have that empathy? Just showing them their situation may not be enough. So how are you going to affect their emotions to generate empathy?
Well, I think this is why I think the idea of grounding that hive mind concept within one specific thing, right? Because even if someone lacks empathy, because of their biological makeup, right, or their brain, right, they have self-interests, right? And so the idea is that the need to fulfill that self-interest within a specific paradigm, right, will override their lack of empathy. So they'll do
But
what's right for their own self-interest.
but that's
So
emotional hijacking. That is literal emotional hijacking. That's the
Yes.
definition.
Well, it won't be emotional hijacking if the person doesn't have emotions.
no, it'll be self-preservation.
So, but that's to an extent. So that's what free market capitalism does, though. Not capitalism as is colloquially used to describe our corrupt economic system, but true free markets, as in you incentivize people to act in a certain way. So you can incentivize people to act in true self-serving behavior and have it be beneficial for the entirety.
Yes. So, but the only way I think that could truly work is if we're connected to the point where at least not necessarily just intellectually, but emotionally, we're connected and we can freely see how each other
Wait,
feel because we're
Odin, it's not that we don't see how each other feels. It's that a lot of times those feelings are not based on a rational reason to feel that way.
I mean,
So it
most of
doesn't
our
matter.
feelings. No, go ahead. I'm
J-
sorry. I
j-
thought you were finished.
Look, it's like saying the amount of outrage that I have about something equates to the amount of justification that I have for being outraged, and that's not true.
No, you're right, right? But again, I think I think that one of the so take for example, right? A lot of people don't really care about what other people go through because they don't experience it. Or you see what I'm saying? And so one of the things is that you'll find is that once someone does go through that one thing, now they have a shared interest, right? They want to fix that problem.
That's not universal at all. A lot of people go through something terrible and they're the worse for it.
No, I know that, right? But this is what I'm saying. I think
So
that,
boot camp.
huh?
Yeah, make everybody go to military boot camp. That way, they all have that shared experience to come out from. If you're gonna be in sort of this hive mind state anyway, it's kind of
I
like Pink Floyd's The Wall.
That's
it's
You
called
And
just
then
gonna
want to
pain.
mold
suddenly,
everybody.
and then
think of
suddenly they all solved the problem of evil.
Where is
there
he?
you go.
That's so crazy.
You know what? I think that because you just said something interesting about the boot camp thing, right? Because if you can experience someone's life and how they feel about their life, right? That's hard, man, especially if it's someone who's had like a really shitty life, right? You're more prone to relate to people who you know or feel sorry for people who you know. How you get to know people is through communication and interaction. Now, the issue with the hive mind, and the reason why it will basically be kind of like a boot camp, so to speak, is that it's now very direct and visceral, right? And so you can run the risk of basically, you know, like if this person's a very depressing person or whatever, right? You could risk becoming depressed yourself, you know, because you're experiencing these deep, heavy emotions and experience that this person has. And so I think to maintain that, it would require like a lot of stoicism, so to speak, controlling our emotions, right?
Which
Learning
people can't do.
Yeah, it's like a
you
deep
can
sense of empathy at the end of the day. It's just a thought exercise. It's a really well controlled thought experiment. But what does that mean? Like, how do you map that onto reality?
Is this about empathy for the poor?
no, I mean rich people got problems too, right? And so there are certain problems a rich person is going to experience that a poor person is just not going to experience, right? Because it's not about if you're rich and you can, you're able to buy everything, that doesn't mean you're going to be happy or you will be happy, right? It just means that you have access to more resources. It doesn't mean that your life is going to be good. You can still fall into depression. You can, there are people who you love who you're going to lose, right? Like all of those things. There are ideas and plans that you're going to want to put in place that's not going to get done.
It can
Okay,
be
but see,
very
there's natural
isolating.
things that get people back on the same scale, like really tragic and hard times, kind of. I mean, the problem is that most people are so sensitive that they feel the slightest discomfort
Oh,
and they
okay.
equate it to the end of the world. I mean, it's
I mean,
it's
sure.
unthinkable that I should have to live without cell service or something.
I mean, sure, but this is where I'm saying like we will need something to counterbalance that. But I just threw out stoicism, like maybe we need something else, right? But you need something for for us to balance our emotion and the impact
Well,
of get certain visceral experiences, especially when it comes to children.
Well,
yeah,
with stoicism, wait. When you talk, it's not a visceral experience. Stoicism refers to a truly objective experience, right? You're trying to actually exclude as much of the
Logical
emotional
mindset.
content as possible and make it purely logic.
So, so what stoicism does, it's actually something I practice, and a lot of people
and it helps a
misunderstand.
lot. Definitely.
Is that
Stoicism
why
is
you're
not
so
about,
attractive, Odin?
Yes, he
yeah,
is.
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna marry him. We're getting married. It's happening.
So one of the reasons why as a stoic you have to learn how to control your emotions, right, is that it'll allow you to look at the reality that's in front of you objectively, right, as possible, right? It keeps a clear mind, but it doesn't say don't cry when you have to do those things. Crying, for example, is a natural de-stressor,
If you're
right?
Yep.
gay.
Oh shit.
Gay. Fuck you, Jose.
Carry on.
Right, but there's a
I had.
time.
You can't
There,
throw an
but
alley oop like that and
Boys
expect me not
don't
to
right.
slam dunk it.
cry.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's a good one.
yeah, but there's a time for those emotions, and then there's a time
Yes.
for action and clear thinking. So the
Yeah.
Yes.
Stoic
Now,
puts it aside.
yeah, but the issue with stoicism is that part of the practice is imagining the worst case scenario that could happen in your life, and accepting it.
Yeah, but not just
Right.
once,
A
not just
lot of
once,
people
many
cannot do
times.
that.
Yeah, many times over and over until you become desensitized.
Yeah.
Sort of
No.
desensitized to it.
Once you get the first greatest thing that you fear, like the worst case scenario, once you have that down and you're able to deal with it, then everything else seems easier, Sparkle. So it's not like you have to
Yeah, I'm
keep
not.
dealing
Yeah,
with it again and again. Nothing will come by comparison that will rock you after that.
well, but
Yeah.
what I mean is that is that I can think of the worst case scenario. I can think of the worst case scenario now, and and because of my how my brain works, how other people's brain works, it would definitely cause anxiety. Right now, I could say, okay, let me think about this. Let me think about this, and then and then just be.
You're right. I stand corrected because you're absolutely right. When I was young, before I had children, some harm to me would be the thing that I would fear. But once I had kids, what I feared more is something happening to them.
Yeah. So the one of the downsides to stoicism as a lifestyle is that people who have anxiety have a issue, with that part of it,
And
right?
believe me, I
Because
have a lot.
right. So it's just one of those things, right? Where imagining the worst thing that could ever happen to you, right? Not not necessarily just you, and making peace with that, right? Not erase, to some extent you're somewhat desensitizing yourself, towards that possibility, but it's a necessary, evil, so to speak, right?
No, I definitely
Especially if
agree.
that involves other people, right? So this is where, to balance out that emotional connection through the hive mind, a form of stoicism will have to be adopted and be taught to people in order to balance that out.
You
But
have
you
the
know,
foundations to do that
Yeah,
right
like
now
this is
with
the
public
worst thing,
school.
and I'm telling. If I were to tell somebody this is the worst thing that could happen to you, like I've imagined or dreamt about being like locked in a trunk or locked in a like confined space, like that's the type of like really horrible stuff that you're imagining, right? And that, like, how would I get out of this, or how would I survive this situation?
I mean, that's the whole point, right?
yeah, the
The worst
brain.
case situation is that you're not going to survive. You're not going to get out of the situation. So you have to make peace with that.
And in those situations, you have to use stoicism and medicine. I've been in solitary confinement, not for very long, but you need to find your center.
But
Basically,
hold on. Flow state. How long were you in there?
3 days, not long.
3 days. Three
Yeah.
days. 3 days
But
feels like
three
a
days
week.
feels like a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Have you hold on? Have you ever watched Law and Order SVU?
Yes, I have.
Do you remember? Do you remember? do you remember in season 11 when Elliot Stabler goes to
They all
solitary
run together
confinement?
into one episode,
Yeah,
basically.
the there's the episode to where Elliot Stabler because he was dealing with he wasn't a criminal, but he turned into one to where he spent 14 years in solitary confinement on and off, and he became more psychotic. So
Yeah,
Elliot
they
is
do that
like,
to people, and people go
yeah.
nuts.
So so Elliot is like, okay, you know what? Let me spend 3 days in solitary confinement. Like he spends 3 days, and when the guard comes to release him, I told you 3 days, not a week. It's been 3 days, man. So 3 days, yeah, feels like a week.
And
That's
that's
kind of
TV. So they're probably if they're manipulating it all, they're trying to make it look softer than it is.
oh, believe
You know,
me, the episode did not make it look soft. I feel his
oh,
pain.
Flo,
I
Flo,
didn't
did
have
you
a
have any
I didn't
contact with the other guys in the cell block?
no, there was no. I mean,
Y'all weren't
no,
sliding
I didn't.
trucks back and forth.
Nope. There was the solitary block was separated from general population. So you had to go through another door to get to where the solitary cells were, and I was the only one in solitary at that time. So I had no contact, and I didn't have any books. Basically, they took everything out of the cell because I was throwing a fit and using it to block the cameras. So like, they took my shower curtain. They took all I had was a bed mat and a blanket. Actually, they took the blanket.
I just can't contemplate. In my mind, I can't imagine like a SMU that's not just brimming and full. The very idea that you're there alone in SMU. Either you were really bad and everybody else is really good.
It was county jail, and it wasn't like a huge prison or anything. So it was county jail, and
that's disturbing.
They have things. They had about half of the jail still available at that point in time. You know, inmate populations kind of rise and fall, and at that point, they had plenty of open cells. So if they needed to separate somebody, they weren't taking him. Yeah, they weren't taking him into the block where I was rattling bars and throwing a fit and making noise because I just agitate him more. They would have separated him off in a different 2-man cell.
There are instances in like mental institutions, though, you can have somebody literally confined to a chair for like a number of days. Like, it's crazy. Like
I don't think that's legal, but it does happen.
No, they have to be stood up. There's restraint chairs, but there's a certain amount of time legally. I'm not saying they don't break the law. I'm sure
all the time they do.
Yeah, I agree with that. But legally, like Flow State says, that's cruel and unusual punishment.
Yep.
So, you know, and it's funny too, because like in situations like that, right? You know, if you were a Stoic person, right, or you know, or even a Zen Buddhist, and you're in that situation, you'll most likely just kind of sit and just meditate. Right? You won't be in a mental state of either like chaos or wanting to,
I said I would spend all the time plotting and counting my bits of leverage that I would intend to use.
I mean, sure, right? But you have to be in a cool state of mind to do that.
I mean, that's what you need to not do. If you sit there just grinding your gears and trying to think, that's what'll drive you nuts.
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm pretty organized with my thoughts, so it's not a lot of clutter to step on.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Well,
so like, so that's the reason why I said that, like the whole idea of the hive mind, right? Even it would have to have something to balance it out, and it can't be like this necessarily like direct link to where we won't have individualism and stuff like that. That's why I use the term semi-hive mind.
That's why I need to know how you do it, because I'm an introvert, and the very idea of being attached to other people for more than an hour at a time, and just it sounds like agony.
William, I think what he's trying to say is that you may be an introvert, but you are naturally attached to other people because of the mere fact of being human.
Yeah, like your connection.
Or just an organism in general.
I like to control that connection myself. You know what I mean? To be able to turn it off and on.
Yeah, that's why it's semi. Right? Remember, it's grounded in achieving a specific goal, right? That's basically what it is. You've bought into it, and so your behavior and actions is gonna be towards that, right?
Yeah, but my goal is to have everybody leave everybody else the fuck alone. Not get all up in their business.
Negative rights. If everybody could get behind the concept of negative rights and work to uphold those, then we'd be set.
Yeah, that would be a goal I could get behind. Mine.
Oh. No, not socialism. Not behind
what
that.
What the hell? No.
I'm sorry.
That's the opposite of negative.
We want to be left alone. That's not socialism.
Yeah, right.
That's asking to get fucked with.
Well, I mean, you might want to be left alone, but the rest of us want your stuff. Okay, Richie?
Y'all be libertarian. Libertarian? Is that what I'm looking at?
They want to be left alone.
I'm just beef.
I'm a minarchist, so I really want to be left alone.
But I'll accept libertarian as the compromise if people don't want full anarchy. I'm fine with it.
I'd
be happy with anarchy capitalism. Maybe.
I know you said anarchist. I just heard manarchist, and it just
Oh, I said actually what I said was minarchist.
Men.
Men,
You
like
did say
minimum.
that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
okay.
not man. Not
More minimalist.
Yeah,
minimal government.
Okay.
The minimal amount of government necessary for us to maintain our individual rights. That's what I'm talking about. But you are
honestly,
tempting me with this all male government. Stay on.
There you go.
wait,
Gonna
all
have to
male? Is
undo
it
some of
all
these
male, or are
amendments.
we talking about, or are we allowing males? I
Yeah,
or
I
we
think
allow?
only males. I think only males should be in politics. I mean, yeah,
What about the
Manarchy?
rest
gotta
of the
avoid.
Did we just coin the term manarchy?
I think you did. I think you could just go ahead and copyright that. The monarchy.
The manosphere is
Manarchy.
gonna
I
explode
thought
when they hear about
manarchy
this.
like a woman's what? I thought
No,
manarchy like a woman's
Cerberus.
spirit.
Have you heard Cerberus's idea about getting all the incels and MGTOW and stuff like that, all the guys to just marry each other legally, never sleep with each other or whatever, but just to have all the benefits and then just remain and live like bachelors, do what they want to do, not fuck with each other, not have to live together,
So yeah,
like live in separate
married
houses. But
bachelor. Somebody pointed that out already, but
There are
yeah,
women.
yeah, 'cause
There
you,
are women who do that.
what?
Yeah.
Game the system? You lie.
women have been doing that since the 70s, maybe more. Actually, no, women have been doing that
But you can't
since.
blame women. No, listen, you cannot blame women.
I wasn't.
A lot
I
of people
wasn't.
think that I'm mad at women because, I don't want to get married, but you can't blame them. They're using the tools that they have. When they turn about 14, 15, they get their Harry Potter powers starting to happen, and all of a sudden all the guys will just do, no, this is real. This is real because you felt it whether you know it or not. Maybe not you, Sparkle, but
Wow.
Holy shit!
you're
Wow.
immune because of your powder powers. But for the rest of us, like those tits start to show up, and those girls that used to think were icky were all of a sudden you'll carry their books, and if they drop their pen, you'll pick it up, and they'll smack you and you like it and shit like that. That's what it begins, and they wield that power. And it's cool because they can master the beastly creatures known as men because we're simple.
I remember.
This has just become a terrible incel stream. Fuck.
What the
It's not how I am giving them such props. Do you not hear that I'm pedestalizing them in a way?
What?
I have a girlfriend. I just want to make that clear. I don't belong in that label.
Okay.
I
I have a girlfriend
to you.
too. That doesn't change anything.
Oh well, you just said the incel stream part.
No, that's
abide by
AP.
this
He thinks I'm an incel. I think.
You just said
No,
you had
I'm
kids, so
saying
I
we
think
might
that you've
all
at
be
least had sex
incels.
once.
I mean, I should probably be having sex right now.
We all should probably be having
You hear that,
sex right
Sparkle?
now.
Hear that, Sparkle? Kev wants to have sex right now.
Well, hey! I don't.
Get those chaps on, boy.
No, fuck you.
That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying.
Okay.
So now that
I
we're
have
all
so
gay,
many marshmallow jokes I want to make right now about the chaps, but I'm going to leave it alone.
Jesus Christ! You're such an
Sorry,
asshole, Will.
you're albino.
Yeah, I know. I'm an albino. What the fuck does that matter?
I
You're
didn't know. That's
albino.
crazy.
Hey, Kevin,
Why me? Oh yes.
you ever thought about marrying a man?
Oh, yeah.
I've thought about it. I don't think about marriage that much, but I'm not opposed to having a male partner. But
We're in a gang and we're trouble.
yeah.
I think we just found our newest member.
I mean,
Okay, here's what you're gonna need, Kevin.
I'm less attracted to males than females. I'm more attracted to feminine males. So I've deciphered
Sammy,
that
come
about
on,
myself.
Cam.
Stop, femboys.
Sammy.
My man.
Yeah.
Sammy, you have to come on camera. Okay. So, but here's what you'll need. You'll need a 10-speed bike. Kevin, you're going to need a 10-speed bike and a G-string that you are to wear backwards. It's part of being married to us. It's part of being in the gang.
So your
I'm gonna
balls
go
hang
around
out.
and
Wait.
yeah, no, yeah, you have to.
No, I've got really large testicles. Actually, I don't think it's going to
all
work
the
out
better.
anatomically.
That's the point.
Oh
That's the
God,
point, to
we're
get 'em out there
definitely
like that.
marrying you. Yeah.
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 Let your light shine
We're
bright.
going against the social norms. That's what we're doing with our marriage.
I mean, these are kind of
So-
becoming the social norms now.
Oh, now we've got to do something different. Jesus.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
wearing
just
a backwards
call
thong is
yourself
enough.
family friendly. You can
What is
slap that
going on
family
in the
friendly label
goddamn
on whatever
stream?
you want to do.
We'll have a Disney show. Oh, I just made myself ill.
I had an enlarged testicle at the age of 16, and I had my doctor check it out, and he was like, "Yeah, you've just got big balls." Like that's basically the diagnosis. So
That's
that a
hot,
real
dude.
Man, it just sounds like you're turning midnight on. You heard him a while.
He's like, Kevin's like, put that in my records, please. I'd like to have that come up every time I come to the doctor's office.
No, he's
You know,
not
they look
turning
at your
me
records
on.
like, has huge balls. And you just nod at them. Yeah, it's true.
Like, I'm more turned on to what he said about femboy, liking femboys, because I like femboys too. So
Oh, Richard
Yeah.
Stream.
Is a
Richard Stream.
femboy like a girly boy, or is that like a she-male?
No, just
No.
boys that are feminine.
yeah,
yeah,
men that are
even
feminists,
just like
femboys.
men that are well groomed, like men that
I think Justin Bieber, right? That's who we're
Yeah.
talking about.
No, fuck that. I don't even know.
That's
that,
what we're
I don't
saying.
know what to-
Well, what was you about to say?
He kind of looks like Justin Bieber, but fuck that guy. Yeah, but don't
I'm
literally.
glad that Flo's there to translate.
Flow state is a state.
Saint
I don't know.
Saint
No.
Flo?
Flo got my attention on Rage's stream.
Which
Oh,
one?
what did he
Just talking
do?
about liberty and gun ownership and stuff like that. I
Oh,
immediately got my Flow State tattoo.
Oh yeah.
It's very small.
Rage is against guns, so anyone
Rage
talking
is
about
against-
gun ownership, will
Rage hates
definitely piss
personal
him off.
liberty.
He doesn't know why though.
Yeah, I know that, and I think that he can be salvaged.
It'll take time. I mean, I've talked to him. He thinks I'm in some sort of like terrorist group.
Yeah,
He's not intellectually dishonest like a lot of people are.
He's not.
No, there's a fair bit of that though.
I think that there's some rejection where it doesn't belong of certain things, but I don't know that I like some people are just straight up intellectually dishonest, and I don't think that he's that way.
Have you been to Rage's stream recently? Because he's changed his whole platform. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
Rage for
you know
Reason.
that.
Yeah, I know. I watched a little of it, but what's the big change in him? I don't know that I've seen.
Well, no, it lasted about a week, and he's kind of turning back into the raging atheist. It's in his blood. I don't know why he tried to change.
Well, he's trying to be more analytical. I see that.
Which is
Like,
that part of it. I completely agree with. Like, at least he's trying to have a malleable position and not be so headstrong, ragey.
I mean, I understand getting upset with Christians. I get that. I get upset with Christians, and I'm a Christian. But like, Rage gets upset with particular groups of Christians, and then blasts all of us with the same, slanders.
I think there's a certain amount of affirmation that comes with that. Like a lot of the atheist community, like when people just go off, to give credence to the stereotype, there's a lot of just angry atheists, and they just want to hear you like just bash the Bible as much as possible.
Yep.
And that's really easy to do. And so a lot of us get like a lot of likes in that sector, and then people get bored with it. And
it's the lowest common denominator within the atheist community. It seems like,
yeah,
bashing the Bible and religion. Like, I mean, I don't.
I see it on the other side, though. I see the Christians that come in, and atheists is like that's the slur. everything. If you don't agree with them, you're an
Right.
atheist.
You're an atheist.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
that's
guess
not helping anything. You know?
Yeah, Christians aren't exempt either. I'm not in a Christian. I'm involved in the atheist community as opposed more than I am the Christian one. But
Oh no, they're angry Christians out there. There's a lot of them, and they
oh,
for
fuck yeah,
some
there is.
reason I don't know what their frustration is though. It's like they're mad because they can't make atheists believe them, and so they call atheists names to get atheists to believe.
It's the
I
same
don't know if
mindset.
that'll ever work.
It's the same mindset as, and I'm probably going to piss some people off, but the pro-mask thing, right? Like long after anybody was actually scared of COVID, you'd get people coming up to you with masks on, like demanding, "Where's your mask?" Obviously, they're not scared of you because they're approaching you. They're not scared of a germ. They're mad that you're not complying. There's Christians who have the same sort of mindset about their religion.
That is a great description. Can I use that? I'm going to use that.
When
You
you
can even
said
say it was yours.
pro-mask, I thought pro-masculinity, and I was like, oh, because I did
I
an
did it
anti-masculinity stream. I was like, oh, okay. No, but yeah, like an traditional masculinity or patriarchal like type of mentality, and a lot of people who are pro-patriarchy, right? They're gonna get a lot of hatred for the same reason, right? Because
I almost got fired because of that shit. No shit. But it turned out to my benefit because I refused to wear the mask at any point, and I was a first responder. And since I told them that was a violation of my rights, that Human Resources they couldn't decide what to do, so they sent me home with pay for like a month.
Good for you.
And then I came up with a compromise or whatever, but I never wore a mask, and I wasn't gonna. And
that's like the industry here in California. They did the same thing. They waited about 6 months, and then they sent all of those people back to work with full pay and all that stuff, and just said, well, as long as you provide proof of vaccination, we don't give a shit if you wear your mask.
Which is also a violation.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do that either. Yeah, I absolutely refused. But they were offering it to us first because we were first responders. I'm like, I'm not going to be a goddamn guinea pig. No thanks.
Well, and then there's a secondary exemption where you can just choose not to disclose, right? But that's a matter of public record if you are a public servant in the state of California. So
really,
it would say
your
that
medical record are a matter of public.
No,
record?
It would say that you chose not to disclose that information. That's what it would say.
Well, that's fine. I mean, yeah,
that's what. That's no bueno.
Everyone should
like that whole thing. That's just even if it's legal somehow, it just is.
But if you're in a position of public service, it is a matter of public record, like anything you do in reality.
But that's just in California, as far as I know.
Yeah, that's our state law. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I didn't know that's where you were, man. I have extra sympathy for you now. Yeah.
I don't mind it. I think accountability is important. Like, cops should be accountable. Paramedics should be accountable for whatever their actions are, because they end up killing people in the line of duty at times, and then we have to hold them accountable just like any other citizen.
Accountability,
but that doesn't
responsibility.
They're already taking precautions that they have been taking all along. This new thing comes out and there's a lot of fear mongering, but inside the first responder community, we knew about the shit like a month before the public did. We didn't know exactly what was going on, but we got new codes for our software about pandemic a month before it broke.
That's interesting.
And, well, there's more to it than that, because in South Carolina, we have DHEC. So that's for health and environmental services or whatever. But so what they did is they had a separate protocol where every time someone called and had at least 3 symptoms that could be considered COVID-like, it was reported to DHEC, their address was, and it had to be always reported and kept on record that they had already reported symptoms that could be. And the thing is that everybody that called pretty much got put into that category if they had a cough or chest pain, or shortness of breath, or a
That's how you
fever,
pump up your
or the
numbers.
sniffles.
Well,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
remember
So,
a
but we're
nurse at my facility told me coronavirus was going to be the next pandemic, and that was at least 3 to 4 years before it actually became a thing. But this was just one of the RNs at my facility who told me this in private. Like, so there was internal knowledge of it. Like, you call it like a 9/11 conspiracy, right?
Yeah,
But
no, that's
I
a
can
broad family of
find the
viruses.
video. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I can show you videos of scientists saying 4 and 5 years ago this was going to happen. They knew this was coming, but
But
it's
they
not
have
like
been working on it in the
exactly.
Wuhan lab for coronavirus study research,
Yeah.
gain of function research.
Happy fun time research.
Oops, we did it. Uh-oh.
Yes, and now my country's going to war with China because fucking my prime minister wouldn't wanted to fucking have the
Richard's
what did they call it?
Richard's
The
shutting us down,
investigation
guys.
into.
I'm gonna step out actually now. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little too goofy. Fun conversation. Much love, everybody.
Booga booga
Good to
booga.
see you. Good night.
Bye.
So why is your country going to war with China? What is that?
It's a bit of an exaggeration. We're not actually going. To
I was
war.
gonna. I don't know which exact country you're from, but I got to say it's probably
Australia.
okay. Yeah, probably not a great war.
No.
They lost to emus. Come on, man. They lost to emus. Oh.
No, we won the Great Emu War.
No, you
And
didn't.
it wasn't.
You lost.
It wasn't against the emus. It was on the backs of emus.
No, don't try to rewrite history. Don't try to rewrite history, Sammy.
I've seen the paintings. It was a glorious war.
But yes, I don't have anything to shill.
What about your channel?
My channel. Well, I have a channel, but I don't want to shill. I don't want to shill it.
Check out his channel. He's going to drop a link in the comments section below. Oh, yeah.
Damn you.
Richard looks like God now.
Well,
you can barely see his face in the clouds.
There's a good chance he's Jesus.
I mean, I'm Jesus. I'm the Lord and Savior of Albanos.
Of course you are.
Pretty sure Jesus doesn't allow the gays.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure that what's going on there is it's just talking about sexuality and outliers, as well as like religious outliers and all kinds of things like that, just to say that, look, guys, you need to get with the program, that it's not actually about their sexuality.
I don't really know what I was talking about. I just know that there was some verse in there. But why would you think that would only apply to outliers and not to inliers?
No. Okay, to be an inlier is to be in line with the main idea. And the main idea is go to heaven. And it's not talking about sexuality at all. It's just saying, hey, don't be an outlier. That's all it's saying.
It says don't lie with a man, like a woman, right?
I understand the literal words there.
I don't. But I guess
what
I
does
don't
it mean
understand why
by
your
outlier?
interpretation makes more sense.
It's just giving me examples of people who are on the fringe of society. That's all it's talking about.
Oh, okay. So okay, I gotcha.
But why is it bad to be one of those people?
Because everybody else went to heaven. Don't you want to go too?
No.
It's like that.
They have weed there.
But how did we get from don't lie with a man to don't you want to go to heaven?
Well, okay, first of all, just like the promises are to Jesus, the laws are to the 144,000, the army of God. It's not for everybody it's not what it's about. So here you got a bunch of sexually unexperienced virgin males, and they're tromping over the countryside, and there's 12,000 of them for each apostle to keep track of, right? So that's a lot of folks to keep track of. So it's got all these general rules in there, like don't touch stuff, don't have sex with each other, don't all that stuff in there.
Stop eating the lobsters.
Don't eat stuff that crawls on the ground. It's got all these like uber simplified, way too broad. Because if you have an army, it's better that they do nothing but their job than they start doing stuff that's not part of their job. It's much better.
I should have an army someday.
Well, become an apostle shouldn't be a problem.
If you fuckers would tithe me more. Hey, Richard, the other day you mentioned something about to put on the truck for salt. What was that thing? You didn't ever say what the name of it was.
To put on the what?
I asked about preventing salt damage on a truck.
Oh, I forgot to look it up for you. It's a microparticle. Hold on. I'll look it up for you now.
My channel is called Flow State. It's not top on the list if you search for Flow State, but it is it is the I do have the handle, so you can put in YouTube/C/Flow State and it'll take you there. That's my shilling. Who's next? Batman? Hive Mind?
I have no channel. Hail the Hive Mind. Get with the program.
Sparkles?
Get in the program.
I don't really have anything to shill other than holy shit. Does anyone see Richard?
Yes.
Fuck.
His eyes.
That is
demonic.
disturbing. Anyways, I'll just shill that that I want to talk to OD after everyone leaves. There you go. That's what I'm gonna shill. What the fuck?
I don't know if he's talking. We can't hear you if you're talking, Richard.
Yeah, you're a robot suddenly. Nope, it's not Richard. Someone's a robot.
God, that's fucking disturbing.
Richard's in the Matrix.
He's in the
Yeah,
hive
the
mind.
good one, good Matrix, not the shitty reboot or not the fourth one.
All right, there you go. I found it.
Ow.
You see that, Flow State?
Yeah, I got you. Thanks.
Sure. Okay, guys. Flow State, will you mute? Because, man, I don't know what's going on in your background. You got, like, radio interference or something in your microphone. It's terrible. All right, guys. Thank you very, very, very much. I sincerely appreciate you coming on and having a conversation and, and making some jokes with each other and being serious sometimes. Really appreciate it. Sincerely. Last things you want to say? Anybody? 4, 3, 2. Peace and respect to you all. Thank you very much. I want you all to know that I truly look forward to the day that we're all great friends.
And in the Hive Mind.
That's going to be a necessary part of our perfection, bro. I mean, you're kind of wasting your time. Really.